Are you ready for the Low Blows Network?
And so our watch continues as, for the final time ever, guys, we break down the new episode, the last episode, and say one final farewell to Game of Thrones. Spoilers are coming, and the final episode, the Iron Throne, is here. So let's break down what happened. The episode began with the good guys surveying the damage of last week's Sunday Night Heat. Tyrion found the corpses of Jaime and Cersei and wept at the realization that if they'd have taken like 10 steps back, they'd probably have been fine. Dany went full Hitler, giving an unnerving speech about liberating the entire world as she'd done last week before pulling a Jaime and losing a hand. Jon visited an imprisoned Tyrion, who had to work surprisingly hard to convince the never too bright Jon that killing children was, in fact, bad, and he had a choice to make. After sneaking past Snogon, Jon confronted Dany in the throne room, and she did that crazy girl gaslighting thing of saying, "No, you don't understand. I slept with your best friend and killed all those babies for you." Jon did what most of us who've heard those speeches wishes we did, and stuck her with the pointy end. This woke Drogon up from his snow nap, and he burned the throne before helping Jon get rid of the body. Fast forward to the future, and we're back at the Dragon Pit for the convening of all the main characters, including Robb and Aaron, to make it up to Keane that Eric Rowan lost the tag team titles. They debated what to do with Tyrion, Jon, and the future of the Iron Throne before throwing the decision over to the prisoner Tyrion for some reason, which is kind of like a judge stopping a trial and asking you for marriage advice. He nominated the renamed Bran the Broken. Have you tried turning him on and off again, lads? Because stories are fun. The rest of the council signed off on it, and turns out after all that, Bran wasn't the Night King, he's just a shite king. We wrapped up what happened to the rest of the characters. Grey Worm sets out for Nat after being owned by Davos, who suggested he started a house of his own that'll last a single generation. Jon was sent to the Wall to give Ghost the pet that was promised. Arya was sent sailing to find what was west of Westeros. Spoiler, Westeros. Sansa was named Queen of the North. Brienne edited Jaime's Wikipedia page. Girls I've ghosted would not be as kind about me if I did that. Tyrion was named Bran's hand as punishment for being a shitty hand before. Sam proved he actually wasn't the avatar for George R. R. Martin because he was able to finish the Song of Ice and Fire. Davos is master of ships. Hint, you can sail those ships to visit your wife anytime, Davos. Anytime you can go see your wife. While Bronn is master of coin, despite us not being fully sure he can count. So, to recap it all on what is going to be a very interesting edition of Game of Low Blows, and starting by giving us the one-word reviews of the show. First off, Corporate Keen.
Grand.
Katey.
Satisfying.
Okay. Justy. Guys, one word.
Like there's word. No.
That's already there's your word, Gerry. There's.
Fucking bitch, Katey. You fucking bitch. I wrote that in the group as well. My one word for this was satisfying. You fucking stole it, Katey. You slaver whore.
I texted Rick earlier to say I was going to do this as well.
Justy reviewed it as theirs. Okay, cool contribution. And last but not least, Gerry.
Good.
Okay, there we go, guys. Right, so no one take it as bad because it's getting a lot of shit over the past few weeks. Anyone keen? Right, so for the past few weeks, we've seen that you're a casual Game of Thrones fans, which probably Valkyrie over in Germany as we speak right now is shouting. If she's listening, she's shouting at the podcast now. You're a casual Game of Thrones fan, but there's a lot of them out there. It's like, you know, those like fucking your parents and stuff like that who watch it that know Khaleesi is the dragon girl. You know what I mean? Or just call her Khaleesi because even though she hasn't been called that in years, because that's what they remember Jorah saying years back. So that's Corporate Keen. For the past few weeks we've been trying to help him out and clear up anything that he might have got confused about. So have you any questions first from this episode?
Right, so the end of episode 5,
Yeah.
Arya had a horse to take her out of King's Landing.
Yeah.
And then in the next episode she was in King's Landing. So where did the horse take her then?
One hell of a question, because that's the one I'd ask as well.
It's a very good question, and to that question we don't actually have an answer. I think they just went around the block like
fulfilling. That fulfilling.
I think they just
Fulfilling.
went around the block and made sure the fire was until the fire stopped.
That's all right. Okay, who was Azor Ahai, whatever that is?
They didn't get to that. Like, we have to assume a cross between Arya and Jon.
But is that not a book thing and not a TV show?
The prince that was promised was mentioned in the book. Because do you remember last season they got to even Dany saying, could it be a princess that was promised? So they didn't mention that, but then they never kind of answered it. Like, we are to assume that with Melisandre's fascination with Arya, that she's somewhere in there. But Jon also ticks a lot of the boxes, but then he didn't do this. Or did he? Is he the prince that was promised for killing Dany? Was Dany actually the one who was the threat to mankind? That could be something.
All that's out the window with the show.
Really?
It's out the, like, they're just hoping that you will be, like, satisfied enough from the real world shit.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Fuck you, Katey. Fuck you now. Like, you saw the energy I brought into this room when I came in here, and then you chose to go at me head on by stealing my fucking word. You bitch.
I have no regrets.
I love how well thought through that was.
Oh,
Katey fights back. This is a season finale.
this is bullshit.
This is a bigger twist than Bran the Broken. Like.
Well, let's see who gets a stab in the heart then at the end of this.
So, they're just not getting to that. Is there anything else?
Yeah, I could look this up myself. I'm not really arsed. What are the 6 kingdoms?
Good question.
Yeah,
right, can we name them? So.
Dorne, the Iron Islands, the North
The
obviously isn't
Westerlands.
one. Westerlands.
Is the Vale of
Reach.
Arryn?
Riverlands, the Reach.
The Vale. Yeah. And then King's Landing.
Well, that's in the Riverlands, isn't it? Or fucking get me a map.
What the fuck's the Western
Someone
lands?
has-
What's in that?
the Western's Castle Rock.
Castle Rock, so it's just west. The
That's
west
the
side of
Lannister.
Westeros.
Okay.
Westeros.
Westeros.
Well, Westeros, if it's already Westeros.
Oh yeah,
'cause,
Wester.
the way I see it,
Westeros, Westeros.
I think
yeah.
Essos is just Westos shortened down. And then they went with Westeros. And if you keep going around, it gets to Eastos, and then Easteros, and then Eastistos. Yeah, so the north, the rock is Lannisport. Here, Gerry, do you want to just take this instead of showing me?
Well, the 6 kingdoms now would be the rock would be Lannisport and Castle Rock and whatever else. Dorne, the Isles and the rivers. It's fairly self-explanatory. Stormlands, the Vale, and the Reach.
There you go.
That's what that.
There you go.
Nice.
So there are your questions for this week?
Yeah, forever, I suppose. Yeah,
Forever.
That's
This is it.
mad.
Do you feel like you know everything about Game of Thrones now?
No.
Just watch it again. Like, just watch
No,
it
I
all
don't
again.
get that. How do people rewatch TV shows? Like,
I've watched every season bar this one at least 4 fucking
Yeah.
times.
I know
But it's
people
not gonna
who've
change.
restarted season 1 already.
but it's not gonna, like the same things are
Would
going
you
to happen.
rewatch
Like,
wrestling?
what?
You'd rewatch wrestling, wouldn't you? Past events and stuff like that.
Oh, actually, that's a good point.
Yeah, there you
Well,
go.
not in its entirety though. Like, I only
No,
watch,
but
like,
you'd pick a match.
yeah.
And
So
go,
you pick
yeah, I
up
like that. Well, I'd pick like the Red Wedding and rewatch that.
the whole episode or just the scene.
Oh no, the whole episode.
Nah, you have to watch,
the whole episode.
That's all right.
That's like watching the finish to a match. You wouldn't watch like the last 5 minutes of like TLC2 or whatever. You know, what's the start to finish like if you're gonna watch it?
Yeah, I get kind of where you're coming from. I suppose
It's
not as exciting.
You're
but,
just not
I
gonna
mean,
agree, like.
Yeah, it's, I don't know.
I have never rewatched any of Corporate Keane's videos.
Oh,
How would you feel about that? I really did. The one about Justy, I went fucking like 20 times.
He's watched
But,
that on the way here. Like.
That's actually a great point, though.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, would you go back and watch some old videos like that you enjoyed before? Like, say, something that really fucking put, like, your fetish with backyard wrestling. Would, like, see that Living Dead Girl stuff? Like, how many times have you watched that? Because I would go to say, if I watched that once, I'd throw myself in the fucking river because I'd cringe so much. So I watched like 20 seconds of that and I can't watch anymore. But that's the kind of stuff you'll go over and rewatch and rewatch and rewatch. Or like for me, Game of Thrones, I've done a thing where every season I've rewatched all of Game of Thrones before it came back up. So I've up until season 6 because I was like, oh fuck this, going back again. But for the first 5 seasons I've watched them 5 times and I've watched 6 and 7 twice and some of 8 twice, just because I've been like, I need to watch that episode again directly after watching it. So.
I've watched every episode except for the last episode which I've watched twice so far. I've watched every episode at least 4 times now. Because, just like, now, part of that is because I'm doing a show about it, so I need to have my shit together. But, like, part of it. And then I'll just watch it at the end of the week before new episodes come along. I watched the entire series again on Sunday before this episode, like, so, it's one of those things, and that's what we'll have to do. But anyway, look, let's talk about this episode. Let's talk about the last episode ever. We're all seem pretty happy with it, but no glowing reviews. But what were some of the stuff we liked about it? What did you find so satisfying in this episode, Katey Harvey?
The most
don't spit on her.
the most satisfying part of this show for me this week was Sansa being a badass bitch at the end,
right,
when they're all deciding who's going to be the new ruler, and everyone's going around saying aye, and she's just like, I love you, Bran, but your dick doesn't work and I'm keeping the north. And that was it. Done. And he just nodded. That was fine.
I fucking guarantee you, if they'd have named her the ruler, they'd be like, yeah, okay, the north's coming with me. She'd have been fucking the queen of everything.
Yeah.
Fucking everything. And it's like, well, if I'm not the queen, fuck you. I'm taking the north and going home. I'm taking my ball and going fucking home.
She's like, I'm going to be queen, like, regardless. Yeah. Sansa, your favourite part. Corporate Keen, your favourite part.
Well, just getting to see Robin Aaron, do you know what I mean? Fella's Jack these days, do you know what I mean? And he could have been king. He could have taken
He is
that.
Neville Longbottom.
Do you like Robin Aaron so much because you've just finished breastfeeding yourself? Or it's because Keen's young, we've established that.
Sickeningly young, yeah. Favourite episode from, favourite part from this episode?
That's like asking me to summarise the episode in one word.
If it wasn't Sansa, then you're okay.
It wasn't the Sansa part, so I'm not all that. No, I did like Sansa's part, but probably my favourite part, I thought the first half of this episode was immaculate. I thought it was the perfect piece of television, and I thought this is funny enough because Game of Thrones for me has always been like this story-led thing, but for me, my favourite part of this whole episode is the cinematography in it, and the way they that Daenerys scene at the start where she's basically Hitler. Like, I don't know, like, people picking up on this, but you've got a fucking bunch of dudes who just goose-stepped their way through fucking King's Landing, and she's standing on the front of them with like a long black leather jacket with a big black and red symbol behind her. She basically looked like fucking like an SS or a stormtrooper standing at the fucking, not that stormtrooper, Gerry, like standing at the top of the steps, and she was just short of throwing out a few Nazi salutes. And when, like, if you watch some of the 1940s Hitler rallies where he is going apeshit at the top of a podium in a different language, tell me that this doesn't look like that kind of a thing. And even the language she was using. So that scene for me was fucking brilliant.
Yes.
And it was just the exclamation point on top was when Tyrion came along. And for the first time, definitely this season, maybe in 2 seasons, did he assert himself as a character. And I think he owned this episode. This entire episode was Tyrion's. So that scene was like the starting point for Boss Tyrion. Like, he was a sad little fella going down in to see Jaime and Cersei underneath the keep. But when it came out that when he came out to Daenerys there and he threw the hand down and like basically said, your men slaughtered all the people of King's Landing, it's like, fuck me. It's like, he is now fucking, like, he's back, you know, the Tyrion the reason why we loved Tyrion. And it was not exactly what you call a redemption tale, but it's like fucking, he reinvented himself. It was like he was kind of bearing the weight of the bad decisions he's made for a couple of seasons. Probably a couple of years maybe is what he'd be thinking, not a couple of seasons. But now he's like, right, I'm not following blindly anymore because this bitch turned out to be evil. I'm sad about that, but I'm taking charge. And he basically was like, do what you fucking want to me. That was cool.
I thought Peter Dinklage definitely owned this episode, but I thought credit has to also be given to Emilia Clarke. Both of their performances were next level and made it. Like, Emilia Clarke, to give credit where it's due here, right? I loved her speech to Jon in the throne room because she had to straddle the line between because people are giving out because her heel turn happened so fast and stuff, and we didn't have a lot of time to live with heel Dany, which I would have liked more of personally, but like I can live with what we got because she did so well. Like, she had to straddle the line between being true to her past self but also justifying I'm insane now, and do that with basically just like one big speech to the Unsullied and Dothraki in a different language, by the way, and so perfectly delivered, but also that conversation she was having with Jon, and whether it worked or not was entirely on her performance, and it totally worked because she both sounded like her old self but she sounded unhinged at the same time. Such a difficult task to pull off, especially when it's like I'm essentially doing this new character that I've been doing for 8 years now, or 8 seasons, and I have to play her a different way for one scene and then die. It's a lot to ask of an actress, but she nailed it. Also, Peter Dinklage, like, to just give credit to his performance, like, I think it was the last time you two guys were here, we spoke about how I'd never cried for Game of Thrones before. Now, as it happened, of course, I ended up crying the next week with Ghost's Goodbye to Jon. I cried for the second time during this episode, and it was at Tyrion finding Jaime and Cersei's body, and it was just purely because of his performance. Like, it's a sad moment, but we've seen sad moments, but we spoke before, how we don't tend to react that way. But also, it was just the way he played it. He acted the shit out of that scene.
I think that's the first time he cried.
It could well be. Yeah. Sorry, just he hugged Gerry to say that. It's an emotional episode here. Okay, but low blows. Also, as well, shout out to Tyrion, making sense of Dany's arc in that speech that he gave to Jon. I love that scene. I love the whole first half of the episode. The first half of the episode I put up there with any in Game of Thrones, because I want to get to the throne room scene as well later, but I loved the conversation with Jon where he's like, oh wait, she's been murdering people all along, but we were okay with it because they were bad people, but murder is still murder. She's been showing us this is who she is, and that's the writer saying, we didn't back away. We've been showing you she's a murderer. We didn't back away from that. It's just you were okay. Us, the audience, we're complicit in that. We were the same, where we're like, oh, they're slavers, they're bad, so that's okay, but it's fucking murder. And Tyrion just explaining that to us, and Tyrion was the only person who could explain that to us, just made sense of it all for me.
I just think the acting in this whole thing was excellent, but as you were giving props to Emilia Clarke, I think we need to give props to her. Like you've already done it, but I'll give props in a way that if you see the online hate about these last 2 episodes, I know, I want to side too, Rick, yeah. But if you look at the way it changed from episode to episode. So when The Bells was on, everyone was like, she's not bad, she can't be bad, Daenerys isn't bad, she's the one that we like. And when you look at the hatred on the next episode, I can't believe you turned her bad. I can't. And it wasn't that they were like, we still don't believe that Dany's bad. That episode, when they were talking afterwards, they were like, they really turned her bad. They really turned her so bad. And she was really bad. And I didn't like that she was bad. And it's like, do you know what? Last week you said she wasn't bad. Last week you said your Dany wasn't bad. Now you're complaining because she's too bad. So she done it. Between the speech and, as you were saying, that kind of, that hinged but unhinged conversation she had with Jon in the throne room, she fucking bossed it. Down to the last second, down to that fucking final breath, she bossed this episode. I'll give the chops to Dinklage at the end of it for being the actor of the whole thing. But for me, Emilia Clarke done a fucking wonderful, because she had very few lines except for that speech, and she absolutely nailed it. Facial expressions, just the way she used her body in this whole thing, and the cinematography of her,
the imagery as well, with her walking out in the dragon wings. Fucking perfect. Fucking perfect. Gerry, favourite part of this episode?
I have a couple.
Okay.
And I'm actually surprised that Justy didn't say this himself. The new small council. You can fuck off. I have the mic now. Can fuck off.
Is that an option to say to him.
Tell him to fuck off. Yeah. No, I'll probably get a smack, but fuck it, it's worth it. The new small council, Davos, my man Davos, lasted till the very fucking end. And what I want to say is as well, do you watch, after each episode on a Monday night, there's the Sue Perkins episode, Truncast. There was a bit where they interviewed, it was Beric Dondarrion, Sir Davos, and Melisandre.
Oh, class.
But now, I think it was from maybe the second episode. But what people don't... I don't know whether you noticed this or not. Davos spoiled that he was last until the very end in that. It was such a throwaway comment. It was like, yeah, it was great to get to the last one. And I'm like... And he was like, he's fucking living. I was like, yes, he fucking survived it. Yes, I was so happy.
Was that before you got to do your prediction league?
Of course, it was after it.
Oh, right.
It was a second episode. It was a second episode.
Judge's inquiry there.
But you
just salty I didn't win.
Fuck off. I'm the bookie here. You can fuck off.
Who ended up winning?
I have to triple check it, but it wasn't me.
All right. Who was it, actually?
You came second.
No, but who actually won it, Jerry?
My wife.
Fucking figs.
No, in fairness,
he doesn't even like that. That's under the thumb for you, right? Even when he rigs his own contest, the wife still has to win.
and the fact, like, today is her birthday as well, and she was like, "Where's my money?" I'm like, "I'll give you your money, fucking relax. I'll get you your money." I felt like she was going to do Stewie Griffin. I'm like, "Where's my money, bitch?" I was like, "Fucking calm down."
Happy birthday, Mrs. Jerry. Congratulations.
But that scene where you've got Bronn, fucking badass as always. You've got Tyrion. You've got Sam as a Grand Maester. Now that did puzzle me. Like, should he not have a full fucking chain?
He's not even a Maester.
He's not even a Maester. He's a Grand Maester now. But no, I love that.
He's not a Maester. He's a Grand Maester.
Yeah, Grand. But for me, that was one of the best scenes. But I think, for me, and I'm going to mirror Justy here as well, that scene with Emilia Clarke right at the start when she's standing up like the Hitler-esque type thing. But for me, what I got from it was when she walks through the door and then the wings expand behind her, people were saying, oh, it's like she's turned into a dragon. That's not what I got from it. I thought, I'm going to use a Star Wars term here, it was like her journey to the dark side was complete. Those weren't dragon wings, those were demon wings. She was finally the bad guy in this whole thing. And then she walks out, and then what Justy said about the whole Hitler-esque, it was like, oh, that's it. Her journey is complete. She is the fucking villain in this whole thing. Fuck the Night King, he died. This was great.
Yeah, for me, my favourite scene, one of my favourite scenes ever in Game of Thrones, and I'm not just saying that because Season 8 is getting a lot of shit, I genuinely mean this. The Iron Throne scene with Dany and Jon. Chock full of symbolism. Let's go back to Season 2, the House of the Undying scene. How did that play out? Dany is walking through a destroyed throne room. It's snowing, or people have argued if it's ash. Here's the thing. Everyone all week is like, was that snow or was it ash? Lads, it was both. It was ice and fire. It was both. There you go. So Dany's walking through this scene of ice and fire. She walks up to the throne room. She hears the dragon screaming. She walks away. She goes to touch. She doesn't touch the throne. She walks away from it. She gets distracted. She goes out to Drogon. She goes beyond the wall, which she later does in the series, and then she runs into Drogon, who's carrying Rhaego, her child. And then what does she say? If you get thrown back to this scene, and this actually informs what happened in the scene and answers a question I'm going to get to now in a second. What does she say? She turns around and goes, "Am I dead now and just don't realize?" So that actually tells us exactly what's going to happen in the scene, but we didn't know until afterwards, because you're like, I remember seeing this before, but I don't remember the specifics. But then when you go back and look into the specifics, it's like, it happened exactly as that happened. So I love the symbolism of that as well. Her, like, what happened? A dragon interrupted her. Jon was in the back of the...
Oh, you son of a gun.
There you go.
That's good.
Jon comes up. They have a conversation. And obviously Jon plays out his character arc where he's like, I love you and I'm loyal, but also I do what's right. They had a conversation. Love is the death of duty. Death is the duty of love. Jon's playing that out. Kit Harington's getting a lot of stick for his performance of Jon over the past series. I thought he nailed it in this scene, like, where he's just...
I thought he done pretty good. Like, it's a tough ask when you've got... And I'm not going to go down the route of saying, like, the writers are butchering... They're not, but like they've crammed a lot in here, and they've to make a lot of stuff believable without going into it and getting through all the intricate details of their stories. So the Jon and Dany thing hasn't really hit home with us because they haven't spent enough time showing us how much love was involved in that relationship. Yeah. So they had to do some really big fucking acting for that last scene. And I think they got through it. But obviously it would have been better if Jon and Dany was better than Jon and Ygritte, or Dany and Big Dothraki. Why can't I think of Khal Drogo's name? Yeah. Khal Drogo, that's the name I'm thinking of. But if they both had an intense love that could have lasted more than riding once on a boat and a few kisses here and there, then that we would have got a lot more invested in them. But it was a big ask and a tall order for them in that scene, and I think because of the scene, what they did with it themselves, Kit as well as Emilia, I think he done really well. And geez, look at me using first names like a fucking nerd.
Good old Kay. Oh, Phil.
But I think they kind of dragged. That scene was really good. So that scene kind of dragged the last 2 seasons of us not really buying that they're a loving couple.
They got you where you needed.
Yeah,
to be.
You needed to be at the very end. I think that's They focus a lot on the destination rather than the journey in the last 2 seasons, and they had to, because you have to omit a lot of stuff. But they got to their destination very well.
Yeah, very true. And then what ended up happening after that? So Daenerys was distracted, and she ended up seeing Khal Drogo. Drogon came in when she'd been stabbed. Also, as well, I loved it. It was a classic Game of Thrones death. It happened midway through the episode, and you're like, I was expecting this to last the whole episode. What the fuck happens now? And it's like, Daenerys is just dead. People are saying that it happened too soon. They weren't ready for it. That's the point. That's the way all Game of Thrones deaths have been, especially with big characters. Where it's just like, what the fuck? That's not how or when or where I expected it to happen. Jesus, she's just gone, right? Just like that.
The only thing that, and I think this is probably the only gripe I have with the episode, is the fact that last season, Jon Snow, it took him 6 episodes to decide to bend the knee. And it took him 15 minutes to decide to kill Daenerys. That's my only gripe.
To be fair, though, he had seen what he'd seen.
Yes.
And his moral compass would have got him halfway there, but he did need a push from Tyrion. And still, the fact that
he got 2 pushes, in fairness. He got the, Arya just fucking turning up right beside him going, what the fuck? What, are you here again?
Yeah.
I'll give you the mic now in a second. Fuck off.
It's 3 pushes because
Danny as well.
Well, Danny did, yeah.
He did ask her, he's like, we can make this right. You can forgive Tyrion. And she's like, no, he can't. No, I'm a crazy girl now.
But the thing is, she made it believable that she didn't believe she was insane. She didn't believe that she had done wrong. She believed, this is what has to happen. This is what I have to do. And the worst part for her is that she always had these 2 little, what's the fucking, Jiminy Crickets. She had 2 little Jiminy Crickets, and Missandei, who was always there to help her. Yeah. And Jorah, who was like, look at the start of the season. She wanted to get rid of Tyrion, and Jorah was like, no, you can't get rid of fucking Tyrion. Tyrion's the good guy. You need him. He's going to help you. And with the 2 of them gone, she had completely lost her moral compass, and that was it. She didn't listen to anybody. Yeah. And had to happen.
People wondering as well, where did Drogon take Dany? And, I don't think the physical element matters. I think, Drogo in that scene in season 2, if you look back at it, it answers all the questions you have about this scene. Drogon was taking her to see Drogo, who she's named after. He's like, you can come with us, and she's like, well, I have to go back. Now she doesn't have to go back. She can just go off with Drogo and Rhaego. That's where she's gone, and that's where Drogon's gone. And there's people talking about, are they going to do a new spin-off based on Drogon's adventures with the corpse? I really hope they don't.
I'd love if he just started weekends at Bernie's. He goes to High Valyria, sits her on a throne, and people come up and hey, are you Daenerys Targaryen? And there's just a dragon behind her with strings just going.
If they didn't have a body, how did they know Jon stabbed her?
Because he's Ned Stark's nephew, and he's like, hey guys.
Could he not have told a little lie? He'd already stabbed her. That's already murder.
You've watched this for fucking 7 seasons before this season, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well then you should know. He's going to just walk out and be like,
what's the quote you use?
Let's be honest, she's a fucking noob. She hasn't a clue.
If we all tell lies, then words mean nothing.
That's true.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
maybe don't
What
tell
Noel
a lie.
Gallagher said.
Maybe just don't walk out and be like, I stabbed Daenerys in the heart and then Drogon took her.
Yeah, you could just be like, or just kick a bit of snow over the blood stain, like, and she's like, she's gone flying.
Yeah.
I don't know when she'll be back. You
And
know her, she does what she wants. Like.
And why is that throne melted down to nothing? Oh,
That's what she wanted. Yeah.
yeah, she actually said something about Gendry needed some stuff for the like just some metal, just needed extra metal.
She was never that into the Iron Throne. I don't know if you noticed. She said that, like, you know.
Yeah, she broke the wheel and melted the throne.
Her Valyrian is like a bit off. So when you thought she was saying, I only want the throne, she's saying, I don't want the throne. It's weird. She's like Tyrion. Let's talk about some other great moments in this episode that you were into.
Oh God, what was my other favourite one? The very end of the episode.
Okay.
With Jon going north. I love that. I love that he ended up living with the wildlings and like helping them start a new civilization, because that's where he was happiest.
Yeah.
Like, I hope he finds like a new grit and gets to bang someone in a cave.
Two things for me happened in that scene, and I absolutely loved that scene. It was when they're walking out, they all walk out beyond the wall, you just see that little bit of grass or a little flower popping up out from the snow. Oh, that was great. I was like, oh, well, you know, they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
But then the other thing was, he's sitting on the horse, and he looks back, and he sees the gate coming down. And he just looks forward, and that really, you know, that fucking face he always makes, like, I'm so fucking sad. The tiniest hint of a smile. And I was like, that's my boy. And he petted fucking Ghost.
Yes.
He petted Ghost.
The pet that was promised. I love that. It was fantastic as well. Yeah.
Let's be honest, like, him and Tormund are the real couple we all wanted to see like, run away together at the end of this.
And Ghost as well. The fact
That's
that
it. Like Ghost is their little kid that like they're going to be walking around. They're like a bohemian north of the wall couple now that is just like walking around fucking, you know, with a wolf.
Two men and a wolf.
That's it. It's perfect.
But I'll tell you what though, Tormund and Robin Arryn make a really strong case for breastfeeding.
For breastfeeding, yeah.
Like, two specimens now.
As well.
Find yourself a giant if you want to look like Tormund. That's the thing though. You need a tall woman to breastfeed from.
As well, speaking of tall women, you had another something else you liked involved a tall woman.
Yeah, Brienne finishing Jaime's story. Like, especially after they left us under such shitty circumstances. She's such a good person that she was like, no, you know what? Fuck how he died. Jaime became a good person, and this is what the world needs to remember about him.
I just don't understand that this would be something that anyone would do. Like, I've had breakups. I also have Facebook. Basically, what she was doing there was she got dumped by a fella who went off to go fuck his ex, which is also his sister, but let's not, like, we don't have to get into that one. But he, like, that's all bad enough. She sat down in front of her equivalent of Facebook and didn't trash him.
She's she's pure. She's the best of us all.
Imagine, like, I would have enjoyed it if she'd like subtweet him, where it's like some people were really busy and had different things to do when they could have been chilling in Winterfell right now. just saying.
I just wanted to see right underneath when she was at the writing it, just a little blink, and then it says like Sansa, and it says like, "You okay, hun? PM me." XX.
I love all the Mean Girls memes that I've seen where like it's like the burn book and it's like Jaime is a fugly skank.
Yeah. One of the guys who I'm in another group with, that like, so like ours was the really positive group and then theirs was the really negative group. So I'm in two groups like where I'm kind of like, I can see both sides, guys. I'm a day walker here. And but one of the guys just put in a meme that was fucking hilarious. It was Brienne. It was the same one, but it was like, "Dear Jaime, I've been writing, but you must not have got him," and it just goes into the full fucking Stan Slim Shady fucking thing, like, but it's Brienne fucking giving him shit, like, so I just thought that was funny as well. But the Brienne thing, like, it's good, it's a bit of closure, but Brienne got her fucking, like, she's the Lord Commander. She's Jaime now, yeah, so she's basically took over that, like, which is a good arc for her. But I just thought, like, maybe did she have to write all the good things about Jaime?
No, but like if you looked at the last line that was written before she did, it was just about him being the Kingslayer.
Yeah, it was like, wasn't it where it was the Kingslayer and then all this inconsequential shit. He was
it had about Tyrion killing Joffrey,
and then he took over when Tommen became king. And I was like, oh, what a boring story you've come up with.
Yeah. I liked that nod, and obviously a nod back to Joffrey mocking Jaime for having so little written down about him. I liked the throwbacks. I liked Robin Aaron being in the episode. I liked as well that I'm so happy they made time for this. Edmure being a twat. Yeah. Like,
so
they
good.
made time for that in the final episode. We didn't find out what Jack and Hagar or any of that. We didn't find out any of the big characters, but they made time for Edmure being a twat. That was amazing. That was fantastic.
I feel like they cut the whole Night King thing out just so they can fit in Edmure singing. And I'm okay with that because it was solid.
It was amazing. I liked as well though that like we expected this big intense episode, and we did. The first half of it was really intense, but then the second half the tone lightened, and it's like, do you know what? We spent years with these people. Like, okay, this is where it comes into the criticism of it. And there was a big part that I didn't like in it that I do want to talk about. But also, a lot of people are giving out because it's like, yeah, it all ended happily ever after, or all the main characters like got the big jobs and stuff like that. But it's like, yeah, do you know what? Like, okay, Bran mightn't be great with numbers, right, fair enough, but we knew him, and it's good to have him in the last scene, because, like, how satisfying would it have been if it's like, actually, the Prince of Dorne is really good with numbers?
It would have been not satisfying.
Alright, go fuck yourselves. But here's, if we're going to get in and start talking about how Bran has satisfied me, I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to talk about this last thing. First of all, like, Tyrion says it straight out. Goes, do you think, like, you've got Highgarden now, which is like the fucking, we all know that's the richest place in all fucking Westeros, like, he's the master of coin, which everyone's like, why would it make sense for him to be master of coin? What is he going to be master of? I mean, you've got everyone that covers everything else. Give him coin. Plus, anyone that says he can't count, that motherfucker started off on the King's Road as a dude who just followed Catelyn out of a pub. You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, we're in a tavern. She's after offering me money. That fucker's like, this is the great thing. He can't count. He's the cleverest man in Westeros. He's sitting close enough to the king without anyone wanting to stab him. You know what I mean? Like, he's after coming. Like, anyone that says like, oh, he shouldn't be master of coin, fuck you. That's my Bran. All right. He is after. He's threatened the two boys. He's got like fucking, you know, like he got all the money off of Cersei, and we don't think he can count. He knows what coins are worth more than any man.
He knows exactly how much he's owed.
Yeah, he knows what every single fucking coin is worth in his pocket. So of course he's a master of coin, and I will fucking defend him down to the ground.
Corporate Keane, another person very invested in Bran's story. You want to see him end up on the Iron Throne. Were you happy in the end with?
Right, so Bran and Sansa, for the whole, especially Bran, I hated Bran, right? Yeah. So when I found out that he was going to be on the throne, I was pretty upset. Not upset, that's a complete exaggeration. I was like, right. And like, on paper, this should be the shittest ending ever for me. But I feel like it was a fair kind of, what's the word, like, compromise? Do you know what I mean? Like, all my favourite characters, all the minor characters, you know, like the likes of Bronn, Davos, and everyone else, they've all got like their own kind of roles. I love like the whole, what's it called? The faction. We're going to call them a faction, right? That whole group, yeah, I'm happy with it. I think it's fine. Like, it didn't blow me away. I wasn't sitting there like, oh, I didn't feel the need to really talk about it afterwards, but it's fine. Like,
I think it's a real people pleaser. Like, it's very Tolkien-esque, I thought the end was. Although there wasn't like 50 endings, but it was very kind of like Sam got his book thing, without having to be the cheesy kind of, and that's the end of that chapter and closing a book, and it's old grey Sam. Like, I was like, if that happens, I won't be mad because it's got nothing got to do with the story. Yeah. But I was happy that they kind of put a nod to it. Like, they put a nod to a lot of these things. If you look at that small council, they're all someone's favourite character. I know it's hard not to get like, but you know what I mean? There's no kind of fucking randoms there. It's like, people love Davos. People love Bronn. People love Sam. These are guys that are all in like people's top 5 characters of the whole show, you know? So it is a real people pleaser, but if you think about all these guys, a lot of them came from nothing as well. Bronn came from nothing and is master of coin. Davos came from nothing and became master of ships, and the two of them are the same coin, and different side. So you've got the real humble one and the real cocky one, and it's a lovely little kind of like, this is what way people can go. But this small council proves that the world is changing. It's not all these highborn people who are just there because they're there because a story got them there. The Onion Knight has a great story. Bran of the Blackwater has a fucking great story. Samwell Tarly has a fucking fantastic story. And I know he's highborn, but he came from nothing because he was given the black.
Yeah.
He came from nothing and then went back.
Coward in the Night's Watch. Nothing within that.
Yeah. He was like, he's the guy that pulled himself out of the mud and became someone.
Yeah.
I think it's a great it's a great small council, but I think it was a lovely little kind of fucking here you go, guys. You've watched us for 8 seasons, and you've paid attention. At least one of your favourites is going to be here doing something fun, and I like that. I did.
I thought Brienne was a weird fit for it. I thought she would have went north with Sansa and be her Queen's Guard. Like, it's a whole separate state, and she was sworn to protect her.
But if you think about, if you were to say about Brienne, if I say to you, like, think about before the Battle of Winterfell, and I was to say to Brienne, you're not only going to be a knight in a few months' time, but you're going to be the fucking commander of the King's Guard. That would be. She was told she wasn't allowed to fight in the tournaments.
Yeah, but she still would have been captain of the Queen's Guard.
Yeah, but for some fucking
for the one she's sworn to protect.
Yeah, but she's never. But she has never.
You're wrong, Justy.
No, listen. There's no such thing as wrong in opinions.
Except you're wrong.
There's no such thing as wrong in opinions. But if you think about it,
can we cut Justy's mic?
I'd love to go back and explain to Katey what Game of Thrones is. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to start mansplaining because it's actually hilarious that she thought she could stand toe to toe with me on this. If you go back to Brienne, right, when she was with Renly, we all hear about when this woman who wasn't, she could best all the men in combat. Didn't she beat what's her head's brother, the flower fucking Loras? Yeah.
But the point is, she was sworn to Sansa. So why is she in King's Landing?
She swore to keep Sansa safe for Catelyn Stark. Sansa is now a fucking queen
but
in the north.
But do you think as queen she would need to be kept more safe?
Yeah, by some fucking northerner. What? Why would she, Brienne of Tarth? By the way, not a northern fucking place at all.
Well, hang on. Bran's a northerner. Why is he king in the south?
Because he can be.
There is one thing I just want to point out is that she swore to protect Catelyn Stark's children, not just Sansa.
But then did she not swear
maybe
to
she should
Sansa?
get on the boat then.
Yes, but she swore to protect the children as well, and he's the bigger fucking king. So go fuck
I'm kind of with Katey
the
here.
The bigger king isn't the north bigger?
I'm kind of with
the
Katey.
north is bigger.
Fuck, you're right.
The north is bigger than the 6 kingdoms combined.
She's after convincing me, and the reason is she kneeled down in front of Sansa and swore her sword specifically to her. Yeah, I
did I win?
I don't know if you won.
I don't know because it's a symbolic thing for me.
Yeah,
for Brienne has got for someone who was told no, and I really think this should you should be on the side.
Is it not more symbolic for a queen to have a Queen's Guard?
First of all,
led by the first ever female knight. Is that not more?
No.
Well,
I don't know.
Rather than send her south to serve a man.
But for me, I know you're getting your fucking feminist, but I know you're getting that all up there. But listen, stop, don't get your fucking yeast infection in a twist here. Because all I'm saying is, right, that this woman has, for all of her fucking life, wanted to be a knight, wanted to serve in the fucking Kingsguard. She wanted all of that. And she was told, no. Now you've got it. And then if she was given the choice there at the end, here, do you want to come north and this is a brand new kingdom now that no one's really done? Do you want to give up your life's dream, or do you want to go up north and live with the cold?
But it's the same dream, just
it's not, because you're thinking of it. You're thinking of it in a way that one kingdom's as good as the next. But what happens if someone said to you, right, you've got a choice to be president of Ireland or president of Northern Ireland?
Northern Ireland, I'd want to be the first.
You're lying to fucking talk about
I'd want to be
bullshit.
the first.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be the first, would you? I'm just saying a random.
Is Sansa not the first queen in the north?
Yeah, but you're just coming up with a
She's
fucking...
just playing defense.
I never gave her that option. She's just coming up with a... Shit, then I'd say, have wings as well, Katey. You know what I mean? Like, oh well, I'm going to pick other stuff. I'm just giving you 2 fucking sets of rules here, right? You can either be Queen of the fucking North of Ireland or Queen of the Republic of Ireland, the place where you're from, by the way, that you love, that you can.
A lot of great leaders end up ruling places where they're not from and end up moving.
Yeah, Governor.
I was going to go down the line of like fucking Princes of Monaco, but you went straight. So
always go straight for Schwarzenegger. I'm giving you
I don't think we're going to ever agree on this. I think
Katey, you know what? After like 5 weeks of getting absolute death on this show, I'm gonna give you that. I'm gonna give you the win. Yes. I'm sorry. Like, if you want, like, I know you got places to be. I know you're hanging out with famous friends.
Hold on, wait. She's just gonna come up, give her opinion, right, and then be like, oh, she wanna fuck off. So I can't give her any more shit for the rest of the episode.
If you want to drop the mic, well, you can do it behind her back if you want. I think you'd be happy with that.
No, I'll ring her later on.
Katey, look,
just a barrage of voicemails now when I get home.
It may not get any better than this. So if you want to drop the mic, then I'm totally fine with that.
The temptation is there.
Congratulations, Katey.
He's seething.
I'm not just. The word seething doesn't even apply.
Does it not satisfy you?
I think I've ground the layer of my teeth away. Like, there's no enamel left in the bottom of my teeth because I've been grinding it so much.
This is such a good payoff.
This is bullshit.
Oh my god, that happened all organically. I did not expect any of this.
I tell you what, I haven't even talked about half the stuff I wanted to talk about because I'm not on fucking Brienne of Tart.
I actually had a point on what I didn't like about the episode I wanted to talk about.
Go on, get it. I have a feeling Justy's going to love this. I have a feeling whatever you say.
I really hope that's what I agree on and I have to disagree with it.
What I didn't like was all the fan outcry that not everyone ever mentioned in the season got a finale finish. People were complaining that Mira didn't get put on the small council. All she did was carry him around for a while and protect him for a while. That doesn't, like...
Keen question. What was the point of... Because I googled her before coming in. What was the point of Mira and the other lad? Like, what was...
Well, they got him to the place to become the Three-Eyed Raven.
Their father was extremely close to Ned Stark. So there's family loyalty between the two of them. It's a thing where he's the only living person that knew the true parentage of Jon Snow, and
he was with
Ned.
He was with Ned when Ned found out about Jon.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's why they're from like this swamp, basically, where apparently there's giant frogs and stuff that people actually can ride around on. And I'm raging that I didn't see any of them on the show, but that's neither here nor there. The reason why she stuck around with Bran is because of family loyalty. Also, they still hold the old gods really true to their heart, so that they believed all the stuff. So when nobody else believed what was going on north of the wall, they straight away were like, "Yep, we've invested a lot into this religion, so that we have to believe in you and go with it."
She was there, So,
but like they're playing like Mira didn't appear in the finale. Yeah. We don't know where she is. Yeah. Someone like just random people didn't get the end of their story, and I'm like, but they did get the end of their story. Oh, there was another like
Jaqen as well is someone who like if his last words were "a girl is no one." Given his story, considering it was entirely around Arya, who is a main character, saying a girl is no one and completing her arc to become no one, that, like, I love Jaqen and would love to have seen him in this episode, but, like, we're okay. That's a fine ending for that character. Like, we don't need him.
Yeah, and like, Gendry should have been given more to do. Gendry was legitimized and made a lord. That's the end of his story. Yeah. We don't need to...
And we got Arya as well. We got that kind of resolved. So there you go.
So I'm just like, we only had 75 minutes for the final episode. I would rather spend it with the main characters than like, these randomers.
Like 5 minutes to see how Hot Pie's doing. Like, like
I would like that.
Yeah, well, like I want to see the Hot Pie spin off as well. Like just a baking show in Westeros.
QVC style. With the
the guy who played Hot Pie is a baker in real life.
No way.
And opened a shop called Hot Pie.
No way.
But he's obviously only a baker because of the show.
Yeah. And he sold wolf bread for £1.
Unreal.
And the demand was so big he had to close. He couldn't keep up with it. It was just, but he wasn't really profiting either. It was just too much work and too fast.
Pies were too hot. There you go. Too hot for.
But that was just my main gripe with the episode. It's just people complaining people weren't giving enough screen time.
I agree with you, Katey, and that was a great point.
Before we let you go, Katey finishing strong here. Katey finished strong. Who's the last Harvey's hottie?
I did have one in mind, but I don't know how old he is, so I don't want to say it.
Okay.
It was Robin Aaron.
It's okay, a lot of people are saying the same.
It's alright, he's been slapping around titties since he's been young, so I think you can say what you want about him.
I was trying to do the maths in my head. I was like, so if he was 8 in the first season.
would the breastfeeding not just like have put you off, knowing that if say you're out in a first date with someone and like it's like, tell me the weirdest thing about yourself, and he's like, well, I breastfed until I was 12. Would you not be like, I'm gonna go?
Yeah.
Even if you look like that, I'm gonna leave.
So I thought it would leave the final Harvey's hottie on like an entire 8th season, pick from the best.
Okay.
I'm not going to say Jorah. I've already done him. I just want to show some love to Robb Stark's way. My original favourite, Robb Stark, who I lived for 3 seasons until it was brutally taken away from me. And I sat here after watching season 3, episode 7, telling Rick how much I loved Robb Stark, how much he was my favourite. And he goes, are you watching Game of Thrones later? Yeah. Will you text me after? Because he knew what was coming and reassured me it would be okay. And I watched that episode and I text Aoife and I text Phil, I'm watching it. They all knew, all 3 of them knew I was watching the Red Wedding alone that night in the dark by myself, 2 o'clock in the morning, whacked out on pain meds and fucking laughed.
It was pretty fucking funny. Katey coming out fighting here. She's just settling those scores.
I really miss Robb Stark.
Okay, Jesus Christ. Katey fires back here.
I thought she was going to do the whole Jorah thing, and I was like just about to sing fucking Britney Spears, I'm a slave for you. But
before we let you go, we have to clear up one thing. After everything we've talked about, what did you think of the finale for the likes of Grey Worm and the Dothraki? Were you happy with that?
I'm glad Grey Worm fucked off. I really don't like him.
Still pro-slavery. Still.
you had a chance. He gave you the in to save yourself.
Some things never change.
The Grey Worm thing, the only other slight thing probably I didn't like is I understand the compromise they had to make sending Jon to the wall. Because he killed Daenerys and all the rest of it. But they very much framed it as, we're only doing this because of Grey Worm.
Yeah.
And then Grey Worm sailed away.
Yeah, but I'd like to think that I have the same gripes and I have the same issues, but the Grey Worm thing, obviously, I'm gonna say this straight, this is the way it should have been. It should have been 10 seasons. I'm not going to be one of the guys who's like, I'm going to be.
Oh, we'll have time for that. We will get to that.
But the Grey Worm thing, that would have been expanded on. Of course it would have been. I think Grey Worm was in over his head, and you could see he's like, right, well, we've got the city, and so do what we tell you. So it's like they've got the city under siege, but then you guys have no leadership. You're now a guy who has a shitload of soldiers. You've got no leader. You're now the leader. Something that he never was expecting, never thought was going to happen. But he's in a foreign land, and you've got enemies all around you. And when I say enemies, I just mean white people, people that Westerosis
enemies.
Let's not point the big finger at Katey, but what I mean is that and without being without kind of making it a fucking race war, it's a bunch of guys from a foreign land are now occupying the main city in this or in this in a totally different land. So they have control. But for how long? Yeah. So Grey Worm is looking at himself going well, I need to be satisfied here. But he's also sweating and thinking at some stage, we're going to have to shit or get off the pot here. Are we leaving? Are we staying? What's going on here? So that, for me, Jon heading north of the wall, that by the time Grey Worm was gone to Nath, that was his choice. He was right, I'm going up to this, this pretend prison that. It's basically, let's say, the Night's Watch doesn't exist anymore. It's basically a long open plan prison that people go up to, and it's you shall take no wife, or okay, why? You know what I mean? There's no Night King anymore. Yeah. So Jon went up there and
it was a con.
Yeah. So it's basically it was to con him, but
it's
also
not a long con. It's a Jon con.
It's very good. But for me, and that right there, that's that is how would I? It's Jon knew the minute they said you're taking the black, he was like, yeah, I'm gonna go up north and hang out with all my buddies, like the wildlings. That's basically where he felt most comfortable, and he ended up there. Like, so it's not like the Grey Worm thing for me is. Yeah, we tricked you. And John, you can turn around anytime you want to, but he doesn't want to.
Yeah.
That's where he's more comfortable. Yeah.
John went exactly where he wanted to go.
Yeah.
Because he was most happy where? He was most happy up the north. So that's what it is. He was very happy there, you know?
This is it. There's adorable things that I'm not sure we can talk about happening in the background. But we will. Katey, we know you got to get out of here. But before we go, I want to get... You have pretty much spent the past few months on Low Blows documenting your Game of Thrones watching. This has been the past few months of your life. So how did you feel? Like, we know you felt satisfied, but your overall kind of thoughts on the ending, like, looking back now.
I loved it. Like, I put out a series of tweets on Sunday. Like, even though I've only been watching since January, like, it filled a massive hole. Because when I broke my arms, I told you this story before about how I deliberately only watched half a season because I was so scared of being put under anaesthetic. When I got wheeled to the operating theatre, I was like keeping myself calm by thinking, what's going to happen next in Thrones? Turns out what happened next was Ned Stark getting beheaded.
Really, the timing isn't great.
Really glad I didn't watch it before the operation. But like for 3 months, I just didn't want to watch wrestling. I didn't have much to do. I was sitting at home, 2 casts on. Like, it filled a massive hole. So yeah, I'll always just be grateful for that. And in a way, I'm kind of glad I didn't get on the bandwagon 8 years ago because it was an important time for me to watch now.
Yeah,
fucking noobs.
And I've also been documenting my dislike of Daenerys and Khaleesi, but my mum knows I love Game of Thrones, and she bought me this Khaleesi wallet.
Oh no!
But she bought it for me because she thought it was a Jorah wallet because he always said Khaleesi. Which is the cutest thing in the world.
We have to get a picture of that for the for the Instagram before.
And fittingly enough, it was probably made by some slave children.
Oh, for God's sake.
Katey, we have to get a picture of that for the all right, Katey, look, thank you for sharing this. Thanks for being a good sport throughout the past few...
Thanks,
and congratulations.
Sorry to run. Don't let Justy come back. I mean, I have a comeback. He can come back to the podcast because I know how to handle him now.
Katey, finish it on a high. Put Justy in his place after all these weeks.
I'm going to leave now.
I can't wait to all hear what I just said there.
Gerry and, no, I heard just no one wants to listen.
Yeah, your man wanted to listen last night. I don't know why I'm giving your man. Like, this is just me resorting to the lowest.
Oh, my man, she's
she's a lovely woman. Racist, but lovely. Yeah, sorry for getting you.
Katey, thank you so much.
Tell Melina I said hi.
Really good sport.
Brilliant.
Oh God. Anyway, guys, I want to talk about...
Now that bitch is gone.
I want to talk about one thing which was my low point of the episode and a lot of people upset, which I got to agree with. And I've defended Game of Thrones to the last year, but I got to call it like I see it. And sell me on Bran the Broken. Gerry, I know you love this bit. This bit kind of lost me. And the more I think about it, the less I like it. So please sell me on it because it's Game of Thrones, so I want to like it.
I can't sell you on it. I just can't. For the simple fact is that, yeah, I liked it because for me it just came out of nowhere. I was so convinced that if they're sitting around the dragon pit, they have this massive council. They have basically all the rulers, and it's not really clear exactly who is at this meet. There's a couple of people. You look at one guy and it's like, well, he's clearly dressed as Dorne Martell, so he has to be the new Prince of Dorne. You have got a couple of people that we know, but there's a lot of people around this council that you don't know. You haven't a clue who they are. They're clearly, masters in whatever fucking place they're from, or the head of houses from wherever they're from. So you don't really know what's going to happen. I do.
Name the ones you don't know, then.
Well, there was
That's
a few.
Joke because you wouldn't know them, Gerry.
Where's Katey? Bring Katey back, for fuck's sake.
Oh, yes.
But there's so many people at this thing, but I was convinced that it was going to be Sansa. I was like, they're going to have Sansa as the queen. So when Tyrion? I'm thinking of me fucking son now. When Tyrion starts this spiel about stories, I was like, oh shit, it's going to be Bran. But I was like, you know what? I'm not pissed off at that. actually not pissed off at it, because at the end of the day, he could be a good ruler because he knows everything. Now, the one thing that I got from the knowing everything, right, was people online all week saying, well, if he knows everything, why didn't he warn Daenerys about the attack at Dragonstone? Why didn't he warn Jon that Daenerys was going to go crazy?
Maybe look at fucking Infinity Wars, people. Doctor Strange, if he tells you, you won't do it, and then everything goes to fuck.
But no, see, I get that, and I agree with you there, but the one thing I got was the fact that he knew about Jon's real lineage. He knew that Jon was a Targaryen. But it took Sam to tell him, oh no, wait, well actually he's legitimate. They married, and so he's like, really? I better look into this. So I'll Google into the past and find out. So he has this knowledge, but he doesn't necessarily know he actually has it. So he does know a lot of shit.
People
so
think he knows all the things, but he doesn't know.
He doesn't know everything. No, he can. Like if you ask him a question, you go, okay, let me look into that. Rolls the eyes, does the Undertaker bit, and I was like, right, okay, I'm back. Yes, that's actually true. Yeah. And this person did this or that person did that. But he can be a benevolent ruler. He can be a good ruler because he knows a lot of shit, or he can know a lot of shit. He is a dictionary, or he is Google. You just type it in, and there you go. So he can be a good ruler. I can't sell him on you, though. I don't think I can sell him on you. Go on.
If there was anyone, I'm not going to sell. I'm not saying I'll sell him, but I'll give you the best reason why he's the best person for the job.
Okay.
And then I'll give you the reason why I really think he was chosen. The reason why I think he's the best person for the job is because he's the person that through this whole story has been doing things or making sure things happen so that this point gets. And he's not doing it because he wants to fucking roll up the iron ramp and become fucking king. It's because he wants what's best for the kingdom. Same as the likes of Tyrion and Varys and people like that. But he has gone and done some amazing things. We talk about the story thing, but I don't think he has the best story if we talk about it. Jon is the best. There, but I'll tell you, so Bran, I think, will be the best king out of everyone there. I honestly believe that he'll be the best king because he is he's there for the good. And he can make the right decisions. He's like fucking every wise king. He's King Solomon, he's King David, he's all those wise fucking kings, all put into one because he has the knowledge of failure, the knowledge of bad humankind, the knowledge of good people, the knowledge of the age of heroes. He can go back and see the stuff that people have done good, people have done bad. He makes decisions based on that, and I think he's the perfect. He's the perfect ruler. I honestly believe he's the perfect ruler. I'm not mad about that decision at all because that decision didn't really. That to me was just like, I can't wait to see that reveal. But for me, the whole story, there's so many people, there's so many things going on that I wanted to see all these little threads wrapped. Yeah. I didn't think it's one big rope that they're wrapping up. It's all these little threads. And to be honest, who sits on the Iron Throne at the end of it was a really small thread for me.
It's just one question of many. And I do agree with that. It's not the be-all, end-all. It's not like Bran won Game of Thrones. Yeah. There you go. I do agree with that.
And I think there's another reason why they might have chose him. When it comes down to it, whether it was actually George R.R. Martin's, if that's what he wanted, or if it was the D&D fucking putting it out there. But it's not a people pleaser. Of course it's not. But it's not a people aggravator either. Putting Bran on that throne is the same as going, I want a boy, I want a girl. Oh, well then let's paint the nursery green. Do you get me?
Yeah.
It's like if you wanted something that was like an end that was divisive, and you put Sansa Stark on the hook, you were going to have 50% of the internet go, fuck no, and 50% go, yeah. If you do it with any character, bar Bran Stark. Bran Stark is the white rice. He goes with anything. You know what I mean? He's basically, if you're watching Game of Thrones, he's the person that if someone said to you, what do you think of Bran Stark? You go, huh? You don't go like, I hate that guy or I love that guy. Yeah. He's like, he has a purpose. I think he's somewhere in there, isn't he? And then now when you put him on
he's Brand.
It's brilliant. He's what Goldilocks settled for every time. He's the just right. You know what I mean? Like, it's not too hard, it's not too soft, it's not too hot, it's not too cold. He's not too evil, he's not too good. He's Bran. He's white rice.
Well, I hated Bran personally, but I don't know why. I just did. He pissed me off. But I was okay with his what you call it,
ascension to the throne.
Yeah, it's fine. It's a fine ending. But my highlight of it was the way Tyrion's just like, and here he is, Bran the Broken. It's like, well, Bran Stark's fine. Bran the Cripple. Bran Stark's fine. Bran leggy back no legs. His leg doesn't work.
Sansa just leans over like, how's your willy?
And his dick doesn't work either. It's like, okay, he may have got the throne, but he also got roasted as well. So, I mean, it worked out in the end. I was happy with it.
Okay, I accept everything you've said there. And here's the thing. It's not that I had a problem with Bran himself being put on it. I could have gone for that. My problem with it was the reason we were given. There was at no stage in the story had they been like if Maester Aemon in season 1 had like a thing where it's like, stories are actually the most important thing. You know, it's like there was no foreshadowing that actually stories are the reason.
I don't know. I disagree.
Like, for me, it was just like, even if Tyrion had used an old Tyrion quote and gone, cripples, bastards, and broken things. If he'd done something like that, it'd have been like, right, okay, well that's Tyrion logic. I understand that that's what Tyrion is. Even if he'd gone with knowledge itself, because I hear what you're saying there. Knowledge is Tyrion's weapon. Like, that's why he should go with that. But he didn't. He went with who has the best story, and like you say, Bran doesn't have the best story. In fact, his story was cut out of the show for an entire season, because he's that replaceable. So it's just like, it's more, the problem I had with it is that it just came across as totally random, and as a case of they didn't give us enough runway to that conclusion, where like for me it felt like there was a scene or two missing, and where I should be like, I
don't know. I think you're looking for it to be slapped in your face, but I really think that there has been subtle talking about like stories all about truth. First of all, this is a story. Like the thing itself is a story. So like I'm not fishing for anything that isn't obvious here. Like I'm not gonna come out with some stuff. But if you think about Bran at the start, he was my first favourite character. Yeah, well, in episode 1, like I loved Bran. He sat down with old Nan and she told him stories about Bran the Breaker, Bran the Builder, all the Brans. What's your favourite story? Story. Yeah. History is written in stories in Westeros, same as it was years and years and years ago. They talk about the Age of Heroes. They talk about Aegon's conquest. They talk about all this. This is all stories. And it's true to life when they talk about kings. Kings are stories. Even when it comes down to Robert. Half Westeros didn't know what Robert looked like, but they knew his story. And when they talk about him getting gorged by the boar, isn't it terrible that now his story... Isn't it terrible that his life came to an end? It was like, that's how his story is ending. And people talked like these big characters in Game of Thrones weren't just characters, they were future stories for their children to be told. And because this is very it's basically medieval times for them, and everything is word of mouth, and stories beget story. And when you talk about a character, they're always preceded by a reputation. A reputation is also a story, and I think this whole part of this whole Game of Thrones world is based on stories, and that's why Sam comes in at the end and is like, here, we're actually doing stories right now. It's not just because when people talk about stories in Westeros, they're fun, they're really cool, but when people write them down, they're really shit and fucking logical. So he's now talking about stories are good. So it's like, at the time when we've all realised that now we're going to tell really good stories, we've got a really good character and a really good story to tell. So I do think that the stories thing has merit, but I do agree with you. It's not so much merit. I get what you're saying there. I do get what you're saying. And when you put it that way, I could be on board with that.
The problem was the show hadn't presented it to me that way, where there was supposed to be a moment where when Tyrion, and like I don't disagree with Tyrion being the person to deliver this and to have the new vision for how the new world should be. It should be Tyrion. And like they paid off everything. And when we talk about like people are like, oh, they've dumbed Tyrion down. They had, but like obviously this was the payoff to that. You know, they knew what they were doing. But, like, so Tyrion should have been the person, but it's just the way that it happened, where it's like, let's ask the prisoner. You know what I mean? Let's ask what should we do, prisoner? And then everyone accepts it. But does everyone actually know Bran's story? Like, does everyone turn around and go, oh, like, he can see the future? Like, did the Prince of Dorne, did Sansa turn around to the Prince of Dorne and be like, he can see the future, he's like, he can go into crows? And
I'd imagine, like, 4 people knew.
Yeah, and then everyone's like, I, just accepting it as well. Now I understand they didn't have time, so I'm not gonna hold them too harsh. I'm not saying it ruined the episode. I'm not like there are people who are doing these hot takes where it's like, it ruined everything. But I do get where there wasn't that runway there because it should have been Peter Dinklage or Tyrion saying it. Old PD as I call him. It should have been Tyrion saying it. It should have been
good old PD.
Tyrion saying it, but like when he turned around and said, what's more important than anything in a ruler? And I'm like, I think back to Tywin's conversation with Tommen, and I'm like, oh, I'm trying to list through the things in my head, and then he goes, stories, and I'm like,
that did throw me as well, though.
I'm not there. Like, I'm not there. I don't get it. Like you haven't given me any runway to that.
They just clumped it in, really.
Where I'm supposed to be like, yes, because it's season 3, episode 4, blah blah blah. You know, but they never. It's just random, and then. That's why I even sent a text in the WhatsApp because like every week we've been sending messages, we've been sending voice notes to each other after the episode going, lads, and when that happened I sent one and I'm just like, lads. And that's how I felt in the moment. Now they got me back. I was happy with the episode, I was happy with the ending, but that was the one moment.
The one, like when you look at it, you know, you've got Tyrion is the one saying this and he's talking about stories. And just as you were saying it there, I was like, well, okay, Tyrion did know Bran's story, but he only knew a part of it. What if?
Well, they sat down together.
Yeah. What about the sit down? He then found out everything. Yeah. And he was like, "This is the guy who should be ruling. He should be the ruler." Yeah. So obviously he made his own conclusion to then, but way back before the battle. But we didn't know. I think you know, when this gets released on Blu-ray and DVD, I think we're going to find that this is the most cut season of all. You're going to see so many cut parts. There's so many scenes that like shit. Now if they'd just added that in, that would have made so much more sense. You're going to see loads of
the DVD is going to be bigger than a fucking hubcap. It's going to like it's got to have those.
If they were to do it like Lord of the Rings style, have extended, I think you'd nearly get 10 episodes out of the stuff that they probably fucking cut. You're going to see so many cut scenes.
I hope so.
There was I loved like from one of the previous seasons, and I love cut scenes. I love scenes like, oh Jesus, that would have been great. There was one cut scene from a previous season. It was when Tywin was still alive, and Tywin was down fishing by the sea, and he's just in there. And
brilliant scene.
Grand Maester Pycelle hobbles down. The guards are told to fuck off, and then Pycelle just straightens up. I'm grand. There's nothing wrong with me.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Great such a great fantastic
scene. So I think you're going to see stuff like that for this season, but you're going to see so much more.
I hope so. Anyway, guys, we are not only reviewing this episode, we're saying a final farewell all together to Game of Thrones now, and it's emotional. So before we do, I want to give a shout out to one of my favourite websites, The Ringer, who has enhanced my Game of Thrones journey so much throughout this. In particular, one podcast. If you're looking to fill a hole, by the way, guys, and if you enjoyed this type of show, I cannot recommend this enough, and you can fill your Game of Thrones hole through this.
Whoa! Right.
That did not come out the way I meant it. Binge Mode Podcast. They have reviewed every single Game of Thrones episode since the start, and they know their shit. It has helped me so much, so I want to give a shout out to them and also steal their content because we're going to do this lightning round style. Looking at you two guys, Justy and Gerry. Alright, what we're going to do is The Ringer put up a series of polls as we say goodbye to Game of Thrones during the week. This is going
to show our ignorance.
No. These are all questions you'll know. It's not a quiz. It's not anything like that. These are all things you'll know. It's just choices you have to make. Lightning round style. You can bring back one character. Ned Stark, Olenna, Lyanna, or Oberyn.
Oh, wait, I'm getting mixed up. Oberyn is the Dorne lad, isn't he?
Yeah, the guy who got his head squashed.
Olenna, easily.
Olenna, okay.
Very hard.
It's tough, innit?
Oberyn. Because Ned, he served his purpose.
Ned screwed Ned.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to go Olenna as well because she was just so badass.
Yeah, but she was next. You're going to bring her back. What, you're going to have 2 months?
I'm going to go Oberyn for the same logic. You know, I feel like we got our fill, and Ned screwed Ned as well. So you have to. You have to bring back one of these guys. Apologies, Joffrey, Ramsay, the High Sparrow, or Viserys.
Ramsay, easily. Ramsay was entertaining. I didn't mind when Ramsay was on my screen, whereas the others, you know.
You hated them.
Yeah.
Sorry, me and Gerry are having our own little a little king's moot over here. Where, I think I'm going to say Viserys.
Oh.
Yeah, because I'd love to see more.
We didn't get a lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I love Joffrey. I loved to hate everyone. Yeah. I even fucking loved the High Sparrow. I thought he was fucking brilliant. And he just reminded me of the guy off of Bullseye as well. But guess what's behind the door? It's a speedboat. It's always a speedboat. I don't know why. I could have won a speedboat, but I live in the Midlands. Anyway, I think Viserys is my choice there. The dragon.
I'm going to go with. Joffrey. I loved Joffrey. I love to hate Joffrey. Like Ramsay is like he was the badass of badass bad guys.
He wasn't badass, but
he
was evil ass.
He was evil ass, yeah. But no, I'll go with Joffrey because he was deliciously evil.
Yeah, I'm going to go Joffrey for the exact same reason. I enjoyed the process of hating him. Ramsay was just a sick fuck by the end, and I'm like, kill him. Whereas Joffrey, I was like, he's going to last until the end, and I'm going to hate him, and I'm kind of into that. And then obviously he didn't. Choose your weapon: needle, Gendry's hammer, the Lannister crossbow, or Longclaw.
I don't know what the last one is. I'm just going to say
Longclaw is Jon's sword.
Needle, I think.
Are you?
I have no reason for it. I'm just guessing.
No, that's lightning round stuff.
It's not even close. It's Gendry's hammer for me.
Okay.
What were they say them again?
Needle, the hammer, the Lannister crossbow, or Longclaw.
Really wish there was a fucking axe in there.
The hammer's as good as an
I'll
axe.
go with the hammer. Yeah, I'll go with the hammer.
I'm going to go Longclaw. Longclaw's bad.
Whenever I'm
getting Longclaw. That's going up on the wall.
That's going to be excellent. But whenever I play games like that, I'm always either a two-handed sword or a warhammer. And I just I've said it before here, I'm a big Baratheon mark, and I just love the idea of the stag. Big hammer. He looks like his old lad. I'm on board for Gendry with a hammer.
Nice. Most heartbreaking death: Hodor, Robb Stark, Shireen, or Ned.
Shireen was more a shock. I'm going to say Hodor for sadness.
Okay.
Yeah, give me the
Hodor, Robb Stark, Shireen, or Ned.
For me, it's tough. I'm going to go with the Titans bastard. I just thought Dario Naharis didn't have to chop his head off. He was really cool, and he gave Danny a load of shit. And he's the one character I'd never wanted to die. But there, Hodor is my.
It has to be Hodor. But he's the only one that I actually had a tear in my eye. I'm like, oh fuck no, not Hodor. But then it's like his whole life was his name. I'm like, oh Jesus, right, Hodor has to be Hodor.
For me, Ned screwed Ned, Robb screwed Robb. Hodor died a hero. Shireen didn't even get a chance. I'm going Shireen.
Yeah, Shireen, yeah. No, I'm up there with you, because, Shireen was a little fucking heart-hugger.
Yeah. And it was a horrendous death as well, the scream. Oh, jeez.
It served purpose for Davos becoming, one of the main characters. True. One of them, I know he was up there, but at this point it was oh, Jesus, Davos is, these scenes aren't because we need to see where Stannis is going. These scenes are where we need to see Davos is going, and that was...
the bit where he finds the stag... And he's like, she's been burnt, but then his confrontation with Melisandre in basically the Winterfell throne room, it was so emotional. He showed every bit of emotion on his face. You killed her, and you didn't care. I was like, that's why I love Davos.
He got promoted that day by far. Yeah, most satisfying death: Ramsay, Joffrey, Littlefinger, or Viserys. Ramsay by hound, Joffrey by poisoning, Littlefinger got his throat slit, Viserys the crown of gold.
What was the second one again? Joffrey? Joffrey, yeah.
Okay.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's between Ramsay and Joffrey for me on this one. Ramsay, I think, probably will pip it for me because it was Sansa. Yeah, she was. She's. This is when she was coming up, bossing. But I love Joffrey's death because it really humanized Cersei as well. And plus, he delivers his final line as a Canadian from South Park. If you ever listen to it, he says, "Hurry up, this pie is dry." Go back and listen. I swear to God, go back and listen. Go back and listen to that. When he has a mouthful of pie, he literally sounds like fucking Philip and Terrence.
Not your buddy, guy.
Yeah. Hey, buddy. Hey, Tyrion, buddy. Get me some wine. This pie's dry. I'm not your butler, buddy.
Most satisfying death.
Give us a 4 of them again.
We got Ramsay, Joffrey, Littlefinger, or Viserys.
I'm just going to be a bit different. I'm going to go with Littlefinger for the simple fact that, you know, you didn't see it coming, and then when it happened, you're like, oh, you finally got your fucking comeuppance. Like, fucking die now. Although I do love...
All of them qualify under that same logic.
I did love Littlefinger. He was so good.
Yeah.
The fact that this whole thing, everything, the war, everything that went on, was all by his design.
Yeah.
He designed all of this. He was the one that planned it all. Oh, so good.
For me, I love Ramsay because of what it did for Sansa.
Yeah.
And it turned Sansa overnight into amazing. An amazing character. Joffrey as well, I loved. Joffrey I'm going to go with because it was the second episode of the 4. Like, we did not see a death that big coming at that stage. Just like, literally like jumping off the bed, like, full on markout moment. It was insane. Speaking of deaths, most epic death, it was Olenna, where she was like, tell Cersei, I want her to know. You have Oberyn's, you have the Night King as well, that deserves to be in there, or you have Qyburns. I think that deserves to be up there.
Qyburns is a whopper.
It is amazing. It's the most epic death.
Because I do love Oberyn's death.
Yeah.
But Qyburn is just too funny. I couldn't not put it. Like that's one of my favourite Game of Thrones moments in the whole show.
It does deserve to be there when you think of it, and it's only the last episode,
yeah.
I'm going to go with Oberyn's on a personal... I might have said this to you before, but I spoiled myself on the Mountain's death because I didn't want to read the books while I was watching the TV show because I was like, TV show is going to fucking... Like, I want to follow that.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil stuff for myself. But I kind of a little bit fell in love with the Hound and the Mountain and the Cleganes themselves. So I was like, I want to find out more about their family. So I went on to like a wiki and it was like the Mountain, Sir Gregor Clegane, fucking talks about all this stuff. And then it gets to the end and got killed by Oberyn Martell. And I went, fuck.
Oh, shit.
I'm after spoiling a death for myself. So I went and watched that episode fully thinking, fully knowing in my heart of heart that Oberyn Martell beats the Mountain. And so I sat down. So while everyone was like, I wonder what's happening, I was like, I already know what's happening. And when he started crushing that skull, I went, what's going on here, guys? Is there something I'm after missing here? Guys, could someone explain this to me? So yeah, it was not only like amazing to me, but like double amazing because I had spoilerized. I had the ultimate unspoiler for myself. It was like someone wrote the opposite of what happened. And I was expecting the complete opposite.
Amazing.
I have this image in my head. I have this image in my head of you like waiting for like Oberyn's brains to get up and like hit the fucking mountain.
I was like, what's going on? Oh, the mountain's over there dying, so that makes sense. But like, so his head's after getting crushed, is it? I'm just going to try and process this for a bit.
Most epic death.
I have to go with Oberyn as well. Not for the same reason as Justy, but it's the fact that, you know, we've had shocking moments before. Really shocking, like the Red Wedding and stuff like that. Really, really shocking moments. But for me, I watched that episode. I saw, you know, the Mountain grabs his head and starts crushing, and blood is coming out, and then I sat there for a good 10 minutes, and my wife sat there for a good 10 minutes. Like we always stayed up and watched this. So it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and we didn't speak. We did not speak. I just looked at her, looked back at the TV, looked at her, looked back at the TV. I said, rewind that.
Yeah.
And and I was like, no, rewind that again, just one more time. And then I think must have done about 7 or 8 times. I was like, I won't be able to sleep tonight. I was like, not because like it was like horrific for me. I was like, oh fuck, I can't sleep because I was like so shocked.
Yeah.
Like for me, the most shocking thing before season 8.
I couldn't believe they put that on TV, and not even just the whole crushing a skull or poking someone's fucking eyes out, like, but it was jarring, like, in a way that it was like, this is going one way, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh fuck.
Especially for you, like.
Yeah, for me, like, it was double, like, yeah.
Like when you see the bit where he puts the spear through the mountain's chest, you're like, well, that's fucking Tyrion's getting away with this, and then no.
Yeah, amazing. And like one as well, it's kind of got a bit of Reservoir Dogs to it because we don't actually see the explosion, but we think we see the explosion. It's like the ear getting cut off in Reservoir Dogs. We just hear it and see people's reactions, but we feel like we've seen it. It impacts us that much. I'm actually going to use similar logic to the last question and go with like my reactions to this happening.
Night King then.
Are you Night King?
Yeah.
Because literally jumping up and running around the room like a fucking mad yoke.
Yeah.
When that happened, that'd be it for me. And I'm surprised to hear myself say that, but it's I gotta look at the facts. The best revenge is an interesting one. Arya when she killed the Freys. You have Sansa with Ramsay. You have Cersei and the Sept of Baelor. And you have Tyrion with Tywin. This is a fucking tough one. This is difficult.
Wait, run through that again. What?
This is the hardest one.
Arya in the Freys, Sansa with Ramsay, Cersei blowing up the Sept of Baelor, and Tyrion killing Tywin.
Oh, and
On
it's
the
like,
privy.
what's my favourite, like, of them?
Yeah, what's the best revenge?
The Cersei one comes close, but I'm going with Arya and the Freys because I just hate the Freys. I just love seeing them get massacred. It's fun. It's funny, like.
That's fair.
It's a tough one. What was the first one?
Arya and the Freys.
Oh, sorry. What was the one that wasn't Arya?
Sansa and Ramsay.
Oh yeah. That was satisfying. Everything was satisfying. But Cersei's wasn't satisfying. But all the other ones were like. Satisfying. I know if you use that word a lot.
You keep using that word, man. Would you not say fulfilling instead?
I tried. I literally went onto thesaurus.com after she said that, so I get me. But yeah, I think Arya's because it was you were waiting for something to come down. You're loving one of those lists to be done. I'll give if you were to say like the Sept of Baelor for me isn't. Like it's a brilliant revenge, like, but I wasn't behind her doing it. I wasn't like, really.
Yeah.
But one I do like, and it probably speaks a lot for my character, was when Cersei got that nun and brought her brought her into that room and tied her down and said, Sir Gregor, have your wicked way with this woman.
Cersei could have a whole category of these, because even the Ilaria and stuff, she's sick when she gets revenge.
But like that to me was like one of those that was where you kind of go, whoa, here comes the power back for Cersei. So yeah, like that, and that led into the Sept of Baelor. So that could be, but I'll just say Arya for the sake of we all love Arya killing people.
Yeah,
I'll go with Tyrion and Tywin.
Okay,
you know, it was very clear that Tywin didn't have any affection for his son whatsoever. The only reason he even kept him around and tolerated him at all was the fact that his name was Lannister. You know, that was it. And he fucking hated his son. The fact that he was going to execute his own son for something he was like, probably didn't do it. You know, more than likely he didn't do it. No, just that. And that scene as well, I loved it because, like, you finally see Tyrion as like, you're finally getting one up on your dad. Okay, you're killing him, but you're finally getting one up on him. I love that bit.
Cersei and the Sept of Baelor is the set piece in my favourite episode of Game of Thrones, The Winds of Winter. And for me, that's probably the best television of these, but that's not the question.
Very interesting choice.
That's not the question that they're asking. The question they're asking is the best revenge, and for me, I'm going to go with Sansa. So we're completing the set here, guys. Yeah. Sansa, just for how much that act just elevated her instantly. In one like scene, she just went from like little bird to absolute queen. So that to me was the
her smile at the end of it.
The little just flicker, the flicker of her
smile. It was like the end. It's like the end of season 8 with Jon Snow's tiny little smile.
Yeah,
it's the
this
same
is a
type
new
of thing,
character like that we're looking at. This is another difficult one, and we've kind of discussed it before, so we won't spend too long on it. Best battle. Do we go for the Battle of Blackwater, Hardhome, Battle of the Bastards, or Winterfell? You went for Winterfell, and we did this a few weeks ago, but only because it was the episode you just watched.
Okay, so Winterfell's obviously the dead one.
Yeah.
What are the other ones?
Blackwater is when Stannis
You've gone
attacks.
so far without aggravating me, Keen.
Hardhome
push your luck.
Hardhome is when the Night King attacks the Wildlings and Battle of the Bastards. If you don't know that, I can't help you.
Wait, what was the first one?
Blackwater.
What's that one again?
Stannis.
Yep.
Now it's just memory.
The wildfire, the big green explosion.
When
wildfire.
Bronn basically was the best
Oh!
Yeah.
I'm going to still go Winterfell.
Okay.
For me, it's Battle of the Bastards. It's quite possibly... No, it's not. It's without a doubt my favourite TV episode of all time.
Oh, okay.
Without a doubt. I've never felt as close to being inside a story as I have for Battle of the Bastards. I think it was visceral. It was edgy your seat stuff, if you were even able to sit down at all. And I could actually... When I was physically affected by that episode in a way that it brought out sweats, it brought out fucking glee. I was absolutely fucking overthrown with emotions during that episode, and not because I hope this happens, I hope that happens, I hope this. It's because I strapped in and I just fucking went for the ride, and without a doubt. I loved the fact that there was all these Blackwater was great, all the strategies were fucking great, and the fact that Bronn was a boss, Tyrion was a boss, but Stannis was a fucking boss. I loved all that. I loved Winterfell. That was fucking crazy. It was mad. It was like the culmination of so many. That's it. Like, it was crazy. But for me, Battle of the Bastards, contained in itself, you show me that episode once a day, I'll go insane within a fucking month.
Weird metric to use.
I'm gonna
Sorry, I don't know why
I'm
I'm
going to
month.
go with Battle of the Bastards as well, because it was and still is the most epic battle in it.
Yeah.
You know, as hard as they worked, 55 night shoots on Winterfell, and as epic as it was, because it really was. That episode was fucking brilliant. But Battle of the Bastards, just for me, is just the best. It was two guys who were bastards, and they were elevated up to more than the people thought they were. Yeah. And just everything from the bit with Rickon and just the whole episode is fantastic.
I'm going to agree. I said Hardhome a few weeks ago, but then the conversation we had about Battle of the Bastards, during that I realised, no, Battle of the Bastards, I like it more. Best fight, best scrap. Oberyn against the Mountain, the Hound against Brienne, Arya and the Waif, or the Clegane Bowl.
That is probably the toughest one. That's the toughest one so far. But I'm gonna go with Mountain Oberyn. But I could change your mind on that in 5 seconds. So I'm just gonna move on.
Yeah, he's convinced me. Oh man,
this is tough.
Clegane Bowl was like a culmination of stuff, and I wasn't disappointed by it. Oberyn again, like I said, that was fucking unreal for me. That was a real cool thing. Like Brienne and the Hound was fucking unreal. What was the other one?
Arya and the Wife. That's
Arya
the
and the
one.
Wife was so good, though.
You think?
Yeah, I fucking love that.
I thought that was the easy one to eliminate.
Oh yeah, but like, I'm not saying I'm picking it. I'm just saying it's still really fucking good. It's like I was saying, not like when I was here the last time. Was it last week? Yeah, it was. Of Arya being warrior and then being vulnerable, warrior, vulnerable. And this was one of those times when she went from vulnerable to warrior, and it was like
in the same scene.
Yeah, in a scene, basically, is it chops that candle? Holy shit! What's going down? I can't pick that one. I'm gonna go with Clegane Bowl. Yeah, Clegane Bowl. It was. You know what?
I'm going Clegane Bowl.
I'm going Clegane Bowl as well, just for the fact that it's the one fight that you wanted to see from season 1 all the way to the end. Yeah. Because you just know that very first fight that the two of them had, it was a fight.
And I had Qyburn's death in the middle of it, which is pretty cool.
The very first fight they had was at the tourney, and then you really was like, you want to see more from that. You want to see the two of them go at it, and it took them 8 seasons to get there, but it was like, every season you wanted to see it happen. Like, we want Clegane Bowl, we finally got it. And it was just fucking epic. And then you've got that Qyburn death in it as well, which was fantastic.
Choose one of these to serve as your hand. Tyrion, Davos, Ned, or Tywin.
That's easy.
You think?
Oh, piss easy. Davos. Easily.
I think all of us are going to say Davos, which is weird.
I'm not. I'm going to say Tywin. Tywin all day. Like, in terms of who's
down, Rick.
Who's going to be
Take a day off.
Who's going to be Who's going to be the best at that
He's
job?
such a fucking hipster.
Tywin.
Why would Tywin be? He's a fucking warmongering bastard.
Oh,
He's a
fucking
prick. I don't
great.
like him.
He ended the War of the Five Kings with letters.
Yeah.
Sitting in the Red Keep. He's good. He's good.
Yeah, but Davos is deadly though.
Yeah, Davos.
Davos is cool. If I was have a pint with one of these lads, Davos all day. Like, I want to be Liam Cunningham's friend actively. I don't dislike Davos, but like Tywin.
Don't swing me with this argument now.
Tywin is so good. He is so fucking good at that shit. Ended the War of the Five Kings with letters.
Well, he was the hand for 3 fucking kings.
This is it. And like, he turned from one to the other. He like became like, he turned from the Mad King to basically run the kingdom, even though like we had Jon Arryn as Robert, but he was still pulling the strings.
He was playing the Game of Thrones.
And 4 kings or 3 kings. He had then Joffrey as well.
Joffrey
and
for a short time.
Well.
Tommen
Yeah,
for a
this is
little
it.
bit,
He's an absolute boss. Right, Lord Commander of your Kingsguard, Brienne, Tormund, Dario or Grey Worm.
Ah, shit.
Tormund. That's easy.
Ormond.
Yeah, like, come on, let's get out.
And
not because I think it's going to be good. It's just because
like everyone else on that list would get drunk and they'll probably die. Tormund, you just get better when he's drunk. It's like, come on, you fuckers,
That's a good point.
It's a great logic, and you're
It's a good
swinging
point.
me a bit. I'm going to go Dario, though. Best fighter of those.
Yeah,
fighter at Dario.
It's good, yeah.
Favorite iconic quote, last but not least. Olenna, and they go, we know there are a million more.
Yeah.
Olenna tells Cersei, I wanted to know it was me. Agreed, you know nothing, Jon Snow. What's his name? Fucking Arya, not today. What do we say? The death, not today.
Syrio
Forel. Yeah, there we go. And Tyrion, I drink and I know things. There's a lot more. I know.
Yeah, there is. There's a million
I'll go
more.
with Elena because like that was deadly.
Without a doubt, it's Tyrion. And I don't even drink or know things, but it's really good. Like.
I actually really, I'm gonna go Elena's maybe. I don't know, but I don't know.
I'm gonna go with you know nothing, Jon Snow, just because of quotability.
What are you gonna put on a fucking t-shirt? Are you gonna put Elena's bullshit on a t-shirt, or are you gonna put you know nothing or I drink and I know things? Yeah. Because all I know is I don't see any fucking Olenna t-shirts hanging around there. All right, guys.
Tell Cersei I want her to know.
Everyone's like,
what do you want her to know?
What an odd thing to have in a t-shirt. I don't see it in pennies.
Just wrestlers to judge it by. You can sell more merch that way. All right, guys, here we are. We're at the end.
Hold on, wait. Can I've so much stuff to talk about.
We're gonna get to it. Don't worry. I'm gonna give you a shot now.
Right.
Because now, let's talk about season 8.
Are you not mad? Are you not mad, Jerry? Like, how much stuff have you got to talk about?
Let's talk about.
He never lets me talk. It doesn't matter.
Jerry's like, I'm actually surprisingly used to not talking. Season 8, the end of Game of Thrones. Let's give our final thoughts on Season 8, Game of Thrones as a whole. Let's just wrap it all up. What did you think? Did this live up to the hype? What do you think of Game of Thrones? Did it affect how you feel? Whatever you want to say, these are your closing thoughts. This is your Jerry Springer kind of final thoughts moment.
All right. I'm not on the side of people complaining, saying that it was shit, saying they should, remake it and all that. I'm not on that side. But I also, the way you'd come into this podcast marking the fuck out. The way I am with Scrappermania, you were like that with Game of Thrones. You're like, oh, it didn't make me feel that way either. Okay. What shocked me the most with Game of Thrones, and it's probably because of expectations, you expect Game of Thrones to be great, but with The Walking Dead, right, you expect it to be kind of shit. But the Pike scene, I'm not going to spoil it. Either you watched The Walking Dead?
Not any of the recent episodes.
Up to season 4, that was about
okay, so you're not going to know what this is.
That's since Negan fucking showed it. That's like...
No, it's something else. But I won't spoil it for those who aren't cut off because it's worth it. But you know the Pike scene?
Yeah, I do.
That made me feel way more than anything on Game of Thrones this season.
Okay.
Which is something I did not expect to say because you think that's The Walking Dead.
The fucking Pike scene? What the hell?
Trust me.
Fuck him out.
It's really good.
Fuck him out that door. Fuck him out that door.
Crazy.
You watched Battle of the Bastards and something made you feel...
Actually, I would put the Pike scene over Battle of the Bastards. The Pike scene, I've watched... Well, actually, this goes back to what we were saying earlier.
See, now I want to watch the fucking...
Now I'm the same. He's not selling a fucking...
It is a really good...
He just sold The Walking Dead to me one scene.
We were actually talking about this earlier where it's like, do you go back and watch a full episode of a show? I'm like, no, obviously not. I watched the Pike scene over, and even yesterday, over and over. I watched people's reactions on YouTube to it over and over again. Nothing from Game of Thrones has hit me like that. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
So, in comparison... It was grand. That's the best way I'd describe it. It was good. I wouldn't complain about it, but I wouldn't mark out over it either.
It's worth getting that in as well, though, because again, there are people who are going to feel that way, so that's fair enough, and it's an interesting one to look at it from that lens. The thing with The Walking Dead, though, you have to sit through a lot of shite to get to that scene.
Worth it. Well worth it.
I'll just tell you after what happened. Justy, last thoughts on season 8 and Game of Thrones. I know you've so much.
I've got an essay here.
Just go.
I don't literally have an essay.
No, just
for
go.
anyone.
Just go. This is the time. This is your time.
Right. For me,
I'm sitting in. I'm getting comfortable.
For me, the last 2 seasons could have and should have been 4 seasons and a feature film. I honestly believe that season 7 could have been 2 seasons and fleshed out way more. And I think that your last 2 seasons should have been season 9 should have been finishing off with Arya killing. Oh, look at that! Arya killing the Night King, and I think that a full season should have been dedicated to Dany's descent into madness, Jon and Dany's relationship. Like that would have got, by my count, it would have got 4 seasons. 3.5 seasons, which would have been fucking, like, you know, when by the end of it, you would have been like, oh my God, he had to kill the love of his life, instead of saying, oh, Jon killed Dany. So for me, it's like, I'm going to have the same gripe as most people, like, the writing was all mashed together. No, I didn't think the writing was bad. The writing was absolutely excellent for getting as much stuff in there as you possibly could in the time frame that they had or given themselves, or whatever way the fuck it's working out. But for me, I really wanted to see 10 seasons and a feature episode, and the feature episode was, for me, was just going to be that. Like, for me, the Dany dying was the last thing that should have happened on the penultimate episode of Game of Thrones, if we were to stretch it out. The last episode there was 2 episodes. The first half up until Dany dying, and then the second half being the few weeks later when they all had to come along. Fucking, I don't know. Like, the second last episode should have been dragons. The last episode should have been admins. That's the way I see it. Like, it should have been like, this is how we wrap things up. And then, you know, fucking, then the feature should have been 2.5 hours of that conversation in the small council. I just really would have just loved a feature of them just hanging out together. But yeah, for me, I'm going to have the same gripes as everyone, all the questions that are unanswered. I am enjoying piecing it together myself with my own knowledge and my own opinions. Like, for instance, when people say Jon should have been king, I'm like, well, of course he shouldn't have been king, you fucking idiots. You, like, he's the true Targaryen and all. Oh yeah, the Targaryen, that chick who just got up and fucking absolutely laid waste to your whole city. She was a Targaryen. You put a Targaryen on the throne now, and it'll be like putting fucking like Hitler's brother. You know what I mean? Like, Adolf's dead. Will we put Jon on it? No, lads. No, let's learn from our mistakes.
Oh, John Hitler.
John Hitler. Like, do you want John Hitler up here? Turns out we found out who Jon's parents really were. But yeah, so for me, I think, like, and not only that, but like he killed. It'd also be like putting fucking Jaime Lannister on the throne after he killed the Mad King, where it's like, oh, Kingslayer, Queenslayer. Plus you've got all the people of fucking Westeros now have to try and trust Jon Snow, even though it's like, well, wasn't he the one that brought her here? And then she killed everyone. So, like, I think there's I'm satisfied with Bran, as we've discussed already. Like, I think Bran, he mightn't be the best choice for, like, you watching it as an audience, but like, if we think about this practically, he's probably the best choice for king for Westeros. Like, so I'm satisfied with the end, and I'm really satisfied that a lot of things tied up. Like, but like, some stuff just felt a little bit like. So that's what happened to them. Like, you know, when it came to Grey Worm, and he was just like, right, we're getting on a ship to North now, and then you're kind of like, oh, would you not mention something about, like, that being where you and Sandy wanted to go, and or no, you're not going to mention it? Okay, bye guys, bye. Next scene, and it's like, right, let's get to this next scene and let's wrap this one little thing up. And I heard people giving out about the final scene, the small council scene, being like,
Like, oh, they just, they clumped that in there, and it was supposed to make everybody feel happy, and yeah, good. Thanks. Yeah, I want to feel happy at the end of this, so thanks. And as I said, it was a people pleaser, and everybody came in, but like the Bron thing made me happy. Davos made me happy. Sam made me happy. Tyrion fucking finally becoming that boss again made me happy. Bran coming in and just being like, "Hi everyone, I'm Bran. Carry on." Like, like he coming in, plus like he's basically just Professor X now, and I'm just going to go into Cerebro, but I'm not going to look for mutants, I'm going to look for a dragon. So yeah, like that's like I'm satisfied with all. Like I'm satisfied by this ending. I'm satisfied that there was conclusions, and they were perfect for me. The unanswered questions, I think I'll have answered at some stage when I go through the books or when it comes to the prequels. Or do you know what? I'll just fucking have a think about it myself, and I'll put it together using my old imagination. And yeah, so for me, it was a great success. Do I wish there was more? Do I wish I had 2 extra seasons? Yeah, I wish I had 4, 5, 6 extra seasons. I wish they'd done a season on fucking just Jack and Hagar hanging around in Essos, like going, fucking, hanging out with nobody. Like that's okay. It's perfect. I'm hoping we get to see Arya's adventures on the high seas. Like
just had to put that in there.
Yeah, I've got some absolute doozies that I was thinking about all week. I got none of them in, but I'm glad I got Pirate Arya in. Yeah, so like there's so much stuff that I think they can, like, we've got stuff coming. So like this isn't the end, and I'm satisfied with how this has wrapped up. Okay. There's so much more stuff I could talk about, but like we haven't got the time. Really? Gerry, go for it. Please.
Gerry, last thoughts.
Was it the best season ever? No. It wasn't my favourite season? No. There was a lot that I would have liked to see, but I think the problem with that is that people waited 2 years to see this season, so they had their own expectations. But not only that, they had their own, it's definitely going to happen like this. And I was one of those people. I was like, it's definitely, like, I was convinced the Night King was going down to King's Landing to get 1 million new troops. I was convinced that was going to happen.
Only because he convinced me.
Yeah, you convinced me, fucking arsehole.
Convinced me too.
But the thing about it is, I don't think the writing was bad. I did. After the first 2 or 3, I was like, the writing is shit. I was one of those people that was giving out about everything. But I've rewatched it, and the writing wasn't bad. It was not a perfect season, and I don't think anyone could convince me that it was a perfect season. But I liked it. I liked how it all went. Would I have liked to see more from the Night King? Yeah. I'd like to have an actual explanation.
Definitely.
I'd like to have a bit more information about it. We didn't get it. I can live with that because his death was fucking epic. And the fact that it just took one knife in the belly to kill them all, I was like, that was just great. And you know me about my visuals. I love my fucking visuals. This was the most visually stunning series of all of them.
Oh, without a doubt.
From everything. Even, Rhaegal's death, unreal. Demon Wing, Dany, unreal. Night King dying, unreal. Even the whole of the Battle of Winterfell, unreal. Nobody will convince me it's the best series ever, but I'm not unhappy. I thought it had a great ending. Would I have liked to see more? Fucking, of course I would have liked to see more. I'd like to see, just these 2 or 3, 4, 5 more seasons, because the only reason I'm pissed off now is that it's over. I'm not pissed off because it was bad. I'm pissed off it's over. I don't get any more Game of Thrones. But the one thing that keeps me going, actually there's 2 things that keep me going now, is that we're getting a prequel series. They have started filming it. The working title of it is Blood Moon, but it's going to be The Long Night, and you've been saying it's going to be The Long Night from the very beginning, and that's exactly what it's going to be. And I think that's why we saw this shit with the Night King the way it went down, because we're actually going to get that explanation. We're going to get it. And I was looking at the showrunners for it. I still can't remember her name, but it's Jonathan Ross's wife. And
is it like her name, like Mitzi or something like that?
Fuck knows.
I don't know.
Jonathan Ross's wife, and the other showrunner is George R. R. Martin. And I found that out yesterday. I was like, oh, that's I don't know how to feel about that.
That could be great.
That could be great, or it could be fucking horrible. And I'm looking at your face now, and you're like, "Oh, that could be really bad." Because
I'm in the middle. I'll give him a shot.
Yeah.
I think it's Stephen King when he redid The Shining as a because he didn't like Stanley Kubrick's version, and it was like a disaster. So that's what I worry about. But it could be great. I'll give it a shot.
The other thing for me is that I'm a big Thrones fan, but I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan, and we have this new series that's going to be coming out in a couple of years. Obviously, we're going to have to wait a couple of years for it, but now that what excites me about it is that there was three main writers of Game of Thrones. You've got D&D and the third guy, and I can't remember his name, but George R. R. Martin always referred to him as he was the third head of the dragon. He was the third writer, and he was a guy that wrote a lot of stuff for the show, and he's now the lead writer for the new Lord of the Rings series. So that excites me. And I'm like, we're going to get Game of Thrones-esque stuff in Lord of the Rings. I'm like, oh shit. And the Lord of the Rings stuff is set in the Second Age, so you're not going to have Aragorn and Gandalf and Gimli and all those lads. You're going to have something completely different, something completely new. They've got a massive budget.
Is it actually from the words of Tolkien?
Oh, it is Tolkien. Yeah, there is. They're going to have to write their own stuff.
Pemilion? What's the name of that fucking...
Silmarillion.
Silmarillion, yeah.
Silmarillion is like before and after.
Yeah, didn't
like
his son finish writing that? Yeah. But that's going to be... Yeah, so that can be
there
cool.
is stuff that Tolkien wrote from the Second Age, and that's going to be included in it as well. But we still don't have enough information. But just knowing that we're getting the prequel series, we're getting the Lord of the Rings series, like, my nerdiness is through the roof right now. It's like, okay, I'm very, very sad that it's over, but we're going to get so much more.
Lads, the floodgate's going to open for this as well.
There was 8 seasons, 8 writings, or 8 ideas commissioned for prequel series. They're going to make 2 to 3 of them, maybe 4, with the possibility of multiple seasons as well. We could end up getting 10 to 20 seasons of prequels. Now, if that doesn't excite you, I don't know what does.
Yeah,
that excites me, and that's what's getting me through. You know when you've got a big wrestling weekend. You'll know this. The come down, the come down of it's over now. I have to go home and live a normal fucking life. That's how I felt on Monday after I watched it. I was like, well, that's it. I have to go back to my shitty job and just like get through everything now. But now I know there's all this coming. I'm like, okay, I'm excited again. So I'm not. I am sad. But I'm excited for the future.
Okay.
Do you know what I want to see? Now that you're talking about prequels and all that kind of stuff, I want to see like a Westeros in modern times. So like,
with smartphones.
But that's just what I'm thinking. Like, what way would have evolved into like the equivalent of the 21st century? Cars would be hecka fast. If you think about how if petrol is made from dead dinosaurs, then like wildfire is made from dead dragons. And that's why it's so fast, or that's why it's so combustible. So for me, that in my head, that's what it is. It's basically
you write this show.
I'll write it in a fucking. I've got so many fucking ideas in my head. So many fucking ideas in my goddamn head.
I'd watch that.
I want to see Westeros,
that's
Westworld or us.
That's Game of Thrones House of Cards.
Oh yeah, that's perfect.
Game of Thrones
yeah.
Well, without the
House of Starks.
There we go. Guys, final thoughts from me. Was this season rushed? Yes. People are very angry at Benioff and Weiss for this. I think that's misdirected anger. And this annoys me because it's also like, I think the reason people are saying like, oh, they just want to fuck off to Star Wars because they got that. No, that's not what happened. I guarantee it's not what happened. I wrote a fucking horror movie over Christmas. Like, I write a shitload, and I know about the process that goes into this and whatnot.
I really want to read that.
Here's what, hopefully you'll see it one day. Here's what, like, for me, happened there. George R. R. Martin gave them the ending. I'd almost guarantee what happened is they wanted to stay faithful to George R. R. Martin's ending. However, he hadn't fulfilled his end of the bargain. He was supposed to write both books beforehand. And what they said was they broke down the episodes and they probably said we only have 13 conclusions, because think about it, writing a TV episode. People are like, we need to see more of Danny being generally bad to understand it. And I get it. I could have gone for that myself. But if you don't have anything, you have to satiate an audience for a week and do something in that episode to make it happier. People are going to go, meh, filler. But if they wrote their own version of the story, they probably would have deviated from George R. R. Martin's story, then had to double back to, oh, by the way, Bran's the king now. You know what I mean? And it would have made less sense. So I'd say they broke down and they're like, we only have 13 episodes worth of story here.
But why? I can't. I don't see the logic in what you're saying. In that, I'm not looking for anything new. I'm looking for that stretched out.
If they'd have. And I see what you're saying about the last episode should have been 2 episodes. I agree there. But if they'd I'd say what happened is they realised they'd rushed it and they're like, shit, 13 episodes isn't enough when they got to that stage.
Right,
but I'd say what they went for was, let's do 13 great episodes rather than 20 or 30 filler episodes, or where like 13 great episodes spread out into 30. You know what I mean? And it's better to leave them wanting more, but then they're like, shit, there's so much more we have to get in. That's why they're like, let's make the last episodes movie length. You know what I mean? I'd say that's where that came from. So I'm frustrated at George R.R. Martin, not them, for not giving them the source material that they were meant to work off. Essentially what had to happen was they had to make a show they signed up to be an adaptation into an original series in the last 2 series, and people are like, it's a different show. Of course it is, because the original author of this adaptation didn't finish what he was supposed to do. That they had agreed that at the start, and he's like, I'll tell you the ending just in case, but he just never got round to it. He got distracted. George R.R. Martin, for my money, and I don't mean this as an insult, best con man of our time. Because he's like, I'm going to let them take the flak. I don't know how to finish these things. I'm fucked. and as a result, everyone is saying, George R. Martin's the hero. He would have written it perfectly. And what's he done? Fuck all. Hasn't released 1 book the entire time. They took the shit. And he's like, I'm just going to sit on this mountain of money that I got. So I think it's very harsh on them. I'm satisfied with what we got. I feel like they answered the questions that needed to be answered. I enjoyed Season 8. I think it became cool to slag Game of Thrones because people are amplifying little tiny things that, it was rushed, but were the episodes enjoyable? Yes, they all were.
We got 6 films, I think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the cinematography was fucking beautiful this season. So, like, I think we got 6 lovely self-contained films.
I can't turn around and say that this series was... I'm not going to say it was better than any other series, but I'm not going to say it was poorer, because look at some of the shit we got. That fireplace episode where they're all just singing around the fireplace and Jamie knighting Brienne, like Clegane Bowl, Arya and the Night King, Dany turning heel, Jon with Dany. Like, we got a great fucking series, but there was just so much of it. I don't think people knew how to process it. I don't think they gave themselves time to process it or think about it, and they just went straight to Twitter, which is a very fucking 2019 thing. They didn't give themselves time to sleep on it and go, did I actually like this? And they're like, no, it's a hot take that'll get all the likes if I just slag off Game of Thrones. I feel like we got a good series. Could it have been an absolutely great, transcendent, amazing series like the first few series of it? Absolutely, if George R. Martin had finished it, which he didn't. But then I think back to overall Game of Thrones, what it's meant to my life. And I was looking at it online today and I saw someone be like, it doesn't have a patch on The Wire. So I was like, do I feel that way? Because I loved The Wire as a TV show, and I got thinking about, alright, name one great episode of The Wire. I asked myself. I couldn't. I could think of great characters, I could think of great quotes, I could think of great moments. There's not one episode in that entire TV show, which I loved, which is probably in my top 5, or at least top 10, definitely, of all time. And I couldn't think of one episode where I could think of what happened from start to finish. When I think of Thrones, I can think of 10 off the top of my head, easily. I can think of, I can tell you the subplots from the episode with the Red Wedding. Not just the Red Wedding, I can tell you what Dany was doing in Essos. I can tell you this, I can tell you that. Same with Hardhome, same with Battle of the Bastards. Well, the Battle of the Bastards was only that battle, but same with Winds of Winter. I can tell you all of the points that they hit in that episode. Game of Thrones, for me, at its best, made me feel things that I've never felt watching television before. Made me sit and pay attention. Changed the rules for television in terms of will they kill main characters? Will they go places where no one else will go?
The scale
of it, the scale of the story, the world they're trying to take on, the world they're trying to explain, the amount of characters that they got people to remember, the way they brought in nerd culture, and then everyone except Corporate Keen became a massive nerd about this show and had to learn everything and was watching YouTube tutorials. People I know who would never fucking do that, who watch EastEnders.
Look, I love my TV, right? And I'm the guy you're talking about right now, because I do love my TV, but I've never been affected by TV. I've sat down and I've watched Breaking Bad and I thought it was great and I've been excited. Every week when it comes on, I'm excited. But when that switches off, I say, can't wait till next week.
Yeah.
And then I go about my fucking day. When I watch Game of Thrones, exactly like what you're saying, I picked up fucking books. I've the attention span of a walnut, and I picked up fucking books.
Yeah.
I spend my spare time putting up videos of what do you think this means about Game of Thrones, and I will put a 5-minute video on, and 3 hours later I'll be fucking like, so what do you think Bran's feet look like? Check out our next video. And I'm like, fuck, man, I'm going to stick around for this because, like, first of all, he's a cripple. You don't know what the blood flow is like. He's been north of the wall. There could be some, there's some stuff that I want answered. And, like, I've never found myself getting into that. I picked up, I was in Easton's today looking to go back to read these books and to get back into it. And I picked up The Hedge Knight. And I was like, I'm going to have to read this. And I'm walking out with like fucking, I've got this book that it's in the same world, but it's not part of the same story. So like, I'm just like, I can't wait. And I've spent hours researching families and picked which one I want to be a part of. I'm a little fucking nerd. I stood every holiday I go in, I stand outside these fucking shops with coats of arms and fucking, you know what I mean? When I went to Iceland, I was like, yeah, I'm north of the fucking wall. So I was hanging out and I was like, look, there's, oh man, look at this shit, look how fucking, last Sunday, I went up for a seminar and I said, I'm gonna go by myself. Hello, social awkwardness, I'm fucking Justy, remember me? Yeah, because I'm with you every day, your goddamn life. And here I am on my own, walking around chatting to people at this thing, going like, oh man, whose skull do you think that, which dragon do you think owns that skull? And then people in there, and like we're having discussions, and I'm having a chat with people about the map, and like there's just like I've joined online communities like a fucking nerd, and I'm discussing Game of Thrones, this thing that I love. Like I fucking like the fact that it's made me appreciate fucking the Lord of the Rings more. Yeah. It's made me think like maybe I will pick up a Robin Hood book and look at those fantasy series. I honestly like fucking
Wheel of Time. That's what you want. Wheel of Time. It's the next series that's coming out.
Right. Oh yeah, actually,
They're
I've
making
seen
a series of Wheel of Time now.
So, but that for me, I just want to just put out there that when everybody coming down to the end of this and it's petering out or whatever, and they're like, oh well, I was very disappointed with the last few seasons. I wasn't disappointed with the last season at all. Do I wish I got more? Yeah, but fucking, like I said in my Facebook status, I also wish I had a massive cock. So you know what I mean. So I'll settle for 8 seasons and a medium-sized penis. So
medium.
I say medium. It's medium rare. But for me, it's something that has changed my life. Yeah. It's actually changed my life. It's changed how I view television, how I react and hang out with people, you do
a TV podcast now.
Look at me, and I it's kept me in contact with my old roommate Lisa, who nice. I'm the worst person for when I'm out of a situation. That's it, bye forever. I'm like, and I don't mean it. Like I just fall, I fall into different crowds, and it's given me a reason to go back week after week and hang out with my old roommate Lisa, and we're That's two awesome. Real fucking nerds about it as well. Yeah. Like last week, not after the final episode, but the episode The Bells. I remember we were just standing looking at her map that she has, like the Westeros map, at the end, and we were kind of going, yeah, like the Vale is actually pretty close to. Like I was fucking studying a map of Waterford. Like fucking, what? Look at me. Look at me. I used to be a fucking cool guy.
You were never fucking cool.
I used to bully people.
That's the thing. That
I used to bully people like me. You know what I mean?
But that's what it's done. It's changed people's lives. It's changed the way people watch television. For me, if I'm ranking it in terms of like the best show ever, I'm going to still put The Sopranos just ahead of it. And the only reason for that is The Sopranos never had a bad episode. For me, as far as
I called The Sopranos. I started watching The Sopranos after I watched like the first 2 seasons of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And I called Sopranos Game of Thrones New Jersey. Because it's really political and it's around it. But like,
and it covers such a wide base and various of teams. But in terms of like Game of Thrones, when it was at its peak, when it was at its very best, it was the best show on television. Like, for me, best show on television. When it was at its best, it wasn't always at its best, but when it was, it fucking changed television forever. And for that, I cannot shit on Benioff and Weiss. I cannot allow other people to shit on it, because they have given us that experience. They've given us that communal experience, that life-changing experience that so many people are experiencing around the world communally. Probably the last ever show where we're all going to sit around. The entire world is going to sit around, whether it's at 9 o'clock in America, whether you're missing double overtime in the NBA Eastern Finals and you're switching over to Game of Thrones, or whether it's 2 o'clock in the morning in Ireland or probably 7 o'clock in the morning in Australia. The fucking world is coming together, sitting around this campfire and listening to stories. So I have to say thank you to Benioff and Weiss for giving us that. Thanks, you lads. For that. And I think about how I would thank them and how I would do that. And what the weird way I've been doing it on this show is with impressions every week. So I've spent the past week working on one very special impression. I've worked very hard on this, so I appreciate your respect and time. Keen is already cringing. Don't worry. I got this down. I have this. I spent working on one impression to round us off here on Game of Low Blows, right, guys? You ready for this? You ready? Will
we get it?
Well, I don't know. I'll tell you after. This, okay? Guys, all right. Okay, I need sense. Okay, this is my impression. The Night King. There you go. Boom. Killed it.
I genuinely thought you were doing Bran. I thought you were doing Bran with the forlorn look. And just like,
I have to go now.
Guys,
can I just before you do the sign off? I know, I'm sorry. I just thought this was hilarious that me and you and Gerry have been talking, like, getting so impassioned. You've been like at 11 for the last at 3 minutes. I was probably at 12, 4 minutes before that. I looked over at Keen there a minute ago, and I just for me, I actually think if you said, "What's your overall reaction to Game of Thrones?" he would shrug. I think that's...
He's thinking about The Walking Dead.
He's like, Pike scene.
He's on IMDb right now. Like, when's The Walking Dead coming back? This has really made me appreciate The Walking Dead. Guys, I've loved doing this show. I'm so sad that it's only 6 episodes and that we're done, but I'm delighted with what we've done. Delighted with the guests we've got. So I want to give a shout out personally to each one of them. Thank you to Valkyrie. Thank you to J Money. Thank you to Hyperstreak. Thank you to Terry Thatcher. Thank you to Be Cool. Thank you to Phil Boyd. Thank you so much to Katey Harvey for taking shit every single week in here. Thank you for Corporate Keen for agreeing to do a podcast and a TV show. You're not that fussed with it, for me.
I didn't actually agree to do it. I just came in. But no problem.
Thank you to Justy and Gerry for joining us and sharing your passion. I'm sure we'll keep talking about this on our own respective shows as well. Stay tuned to the Spanish Pantomime and Talk Nerdy.
I don't have a show anyway.
You have to get back. Well, if you want to talk about Game of Thrones, you have to start doing shows again.
I've got that's a good incentive. But me and you have already talked, so there could be something coming out next week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll
I'll be excited.
We'll keep that as a surprise because you never know. It just might happen. Come on, let's go.
You ain't wrong, Rick.
Guys, it's been so much fun. Thank you so much for listening. If anyone has even got this far, 2 hours in, Jesus fucking Christ. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be returning to wrestling next week. Well, we've already come back if you missed it, but we'll be returning with the proper flagship next week. Me, Keen, and Katey back in the hot seat. Like I said, check out Justy and Gerry in their own respective shows. But for now, for Corporate Keen, for Katey Harvey, for Justy, for Gerry, I've been Rick Nash. And now, for one last time, our watch has finally ended.